How do I
All right, Garfield, you could take the replays are on, and then I adjusted the room title, so I'm gonna go on mute. I gotta go back to work, so you can take it from there. Okay, Garfield.
All right, peace and love, bro.
I don't know if you saw my text message. Did you see my text message?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool. I'll be on mute for the rest of the day. All right, you guys have a good one.
All right, cool. All right, I just sent a new room to Vocab. We're gonna have a clean conversation with Cory. It's always clean anyway. It's always clean, never dirty over here. All right, peace and love to everybody in the chat. Anybody want to come on in the meantime before Vocab gets to? Oh, here's Vocab right here. So I guess y'all time is up. Let me get Vocab up here right now. All right, I got Vocab in the building. All right, peace and love to Vocab. Rodney listening. All right, we got a bunch of people in the room. Can y'all share the room? And hey, before we do anything, by the way, Cory, do you have anything coming up that you want to announce, or you want to wait till later to announce it?
Yeah, I can wait till later. Peace to the room. The only thing that I would just communicate, I'm definitely available for the conversation, but I do have my 8-month-old son. So he usually is with me during these conversations on Clubhouse, but if he does kind of get a little bit too needy, then that'll be the only thing. But y'all are experiencing while I'm experiencing it.
Does he scream out when you get cut?
Yeah. I mean, what he does is when I get cut, he throws a fit. So I just say, hey guys, I got to make him a bottle. Let me get away from this conversation right now. So he works well when the cuts come, man. So we'll definitely see. Shout out to Creative Realities, man. A peaceful conversation with Vocab, Malone, and Christian Cory. Appreciate it, brother.
All right. By the way, Cory, have you met Vocab before?
No, I never met him in the flesh. The only time that I had any affiliation with Vocab Malone is when I moderated his debate versus Captain Tazariak on the Virgin Birth. And then I believe right after that, I had a room on Fanbase. And I believe me and Vocab Malone may have spoke for like an hour. But outside of that, never met him. I know he had a bill with my elder, Priest Daniel of the Lions of Israel. I think they had a 2-on-2 formal debate, maybe about
with Hassar, right?
20 years ago. So, but that would be the only connection that I have to Vocab.
All right. Is there anybody, Vocab, you want to come on stage that's in the audience?
I'll have to trust your guys' judgment. I can't really look too much at the screen. So I'm in and out of doing some logistics work. So every now and then I'll have to mute and jump back in type thing because I am working, but I got a hands free, so I can do both at the same time. I don't have an 8-month-old with me, thankfully, though, but I do have that.
All right, cool. So let me start it off since we're doing it that way. What topics do you have on your mind you would want to discuss right now openly? You know, we have different type of people in the audience, different type of Bible believers, whether they hold to the Israelite persuasion or Christian persuasion. What topic do you want to discuss right now?
Well, I know on one hand it could be considered played out, but I still think there's relevance to the Wesley Huff situation, and I was pretty tied in with elements of it. I'm not going to act like I was instrumental or something, but I was pretty tied in with certain elements of it. In fact, tonight I'm interviewing Wes Huff's producer, but I feel like it's changed a lot of narratives and it's opened new doors that never existed before. So not just necessarily the details of Carson versus Huff, you know, that's interesting, but that's kind of been done. But the kind of new stage we're in where you have a Christian apologist, for example, on not just on one, but on two really major platforms, making direct argumentation for evidence of Christianity in that kind of sphere. And some of the things he talked about on Rogan or Patrick Bet-David, speaking of Wes Huff, they would be relevant to Hebrew Israelite and Christian conversations as well. For example, talking about the canon. And, you know, sometimes we've had discussions about textual criticism. This came up. A number of other things, but very fascinating to see that take place. I think we're going to see more of that in 2025. That's sort of a prediction. But I'd love to hear the room's reading of that situation and like the room's understanding of that and maybe what might happen in 2025 because of positive or negative fallout. That's what I'm thinking. Hello?
I got you. Corey, you want to add up to that?
Oh yeah, so just for clarity purposes, so I can put it all on the table. I'm not familiar of Wesley Huff necessarily or of any of his work besides the Billy Carson conversation period.
Right.
So I know Billy Carson doesn't represent either one of our persuasions, and Wesley Huff used some material that I believe on both parties would kind of agree on, loosely speaking. I did not see the Wesley Huff Joe Rogan situation. I know some people may have had a little backlash about it. I heard there was some backlash about it. Other than that, I did not see it. So I'm not even privy to that, meaning that, you know, if I'm ignorant of something, I just put my hand over my mouth. I can listen in if you just wanted to talk about it, but I wouldn't be able to add unless I looked at the information that was presented or anything like that. I don't do that. I take a while on any information that I haven't seen before, but I'm not even privy to Wesley Huff or his work or anything he presented.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that wasn't the only thing to talk about, but I did want to see if the room or I don't know, Garfield, how familiar you are if you watch those interviews. But even if you're not necessarily familiar with the ins and outs of the interview, just the fact that regardless of if you watch Joe Rogan or not, you know that he's huge. I mean, he gets more views than CNN on a regular. It's like a major influence in a lot of people's lives. Just the fact that you would have that type of presentation and that type of discussion on a platform that big, I think is a very interesting thing. And they talked about, for example, having him back to debate somebody, you know, on that platform, and he's interested in doing that in that situation. And after Rogan, Patrick Bet-David. Maybe you guys have seen some of those interviews with Kobe Bryant when he's like on a stage and he's in a suit and he's talking to a gentleman and he's asking pretty good questions and the audience is really glued into it. That's a Patrick Bet-David valuetainment event is what that is. And so he had Wes Huff on also after Rogan, and so it was like back to back these really huge platforms. PBD's got, I don't know, 2 million. I forget how many subs. It's an astronomical amount, and it's just like, you know, 8 years ago, I don't think any of us would have predicted you would see something like that take place. And I wonder what else might happen like that, because I can tell you one thing. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I know a couple other people who've been, in light of that situation, a couple people have been invited on a couple decent-sized podcasts, not Rogan size, not PBD size, but some Christian apologists that have been invited on platforms normally they would not have access to discuss some of these things. And, you know, it kind of ties in. Did you guys see the hardly initiated debate? Did anybody see that? I feel like this is somewhat relevant. Did any of you guys see that?
No, I didn't see that debate.
Yeah, the one with the one with guys versus the Christians. That one.
Yes. Yeah. Well, just the fact there was two back to back like that, again on a good sized platform, and a lot of people were introduced to a lot of discussion that, you know, didn't really know much about it before. And you know, I actually emailed get them to host a debate between me and Gorilla Hebrew.
Hey, Vocab. Are you moving?
That debate did so well, maybe they'd be interested. I didn't hear back from them, but.
Hey, Vocab, are you moving around?
What?
Are you moving around?
I mean, I'm in a truck. So
you got chipped out a little bit.
Oh, I was just saying that I emailed them and tried to see if they would host a debate between me and Gorilla Hebrew. But again, you know, none of us have had debates of this magnitude on. Now, look, at the end of the day, we're going to do what we do regardless. It's not like they're going to make or break any of us, right? But it's still significant to see something like this happen.
Let me ask you a question. With the question of that debate, I don't know if Corey had watched it. one of the main questions was Christianity the white man's religion? What's your thoughts on that, Vocab?
Christianity can be for a white man, but it also could be for a black man and a brown man and whatever other color you want to put in there, because it's for all men all over who are elect. Obviously, I mean women by that as well.
Oh, okay. Cory, what do you feel about that whole dialogue with the white man's religion and him saying it being for all who's elected, for all of the elect?
Yeah, I think it's definitely interesting. Just to speak firstly to what Vocab said when he was just speaking about him and Gorilla Hebrew and seeing if the platform would host it. I think that'd be real dope to see that, especially on a large platform when you have more resources and a bigger viewing. I would love to see that. I'd definitely be there for that. But besides that, Garfield, to the answer to the question is definitely because we're in 2025. Yes, I kind of understand that Christianity was something that was a system that was originally created or led by the Israelites, and then of course the Romans got involved maybe around the 2nd century and stuff like that, and then it kind of went from there in terms of its changes all the way to the 4th century, etc. And here we are now. And then you have of course, the Crusades. You have those larger churches that was established in the 1700s and the 1800s. And you have very popular pastors in the late 1700s and bishops that not only was huge proponents of Christianity, but at the same time were slave owners. So when we're talking about is it for us, it just depends on our role in it. I think it is for us. If you look at it in terms of the wisdom, it's for us if we would like to play the role of a servant. I think that was the original system when we seen its grow to its popularity in the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. We was looked at as second class. We weren't looked at as equal with the people. And now my son, he's starting to talk now, so he finna start getting loud. But yeah, so I mean, if you want to look at it and say, is it for us? I would say yes, if you would like to play the role and office of a slave, yeah. But if you would actually like to come back to God's laws and God's culture, then no. I mean, then he's gonna establish you as a people that's on a higher scale and more present and more precious to him than that level. So I think it's everything is about roles and offices. So I don't think that Christianity should be utilized for the Black, Hispanic, and Native American man. I don't believe so, but I could be ignorant into some information that somebody else has, and if they present it, I'm gonna look at it and analyze it. But with everything that I've seen, I haven't seen any benefits to the Black man. No.
Wow, that's a bold statement, bro. Bold statement. Hey, Vocab, you could unmute. I muted your mic because of the noise, but you could go ahead, my brother.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that the civil rights leaders didn't agree with Cory, because they saw Christianity, because of the power of the gospel contained in the scripture and the person of Christ, as a tool and source of liberation and equality and freedom and empowerment. So that's not what they thought. And I'm glad the abolitionists didn't agree, black and white alike. So that may be Cory's perspective, but I'm glad people in America didn't all see eye to eye with him on that. And I know the Ethiopians didn't think that. I know that the Christians, the early Christians of Northern Africa and down to Ethiopia, I know they didn't think that Christianity was a white man's religion and their only place was to be enslaved. I think it's pretty clear that a strong source of the Ethiopian government and ability to withstand European colonization was its shared faith of Christianity and its pride in that heritage. Sometimes I worry that in these conversations, we think that America is the only place that exists. All I did there was just quickly go over to the African continent, not even mentioning the churches of India that were Christians way before the Brits ever came over, not even mentioning the churches of China and other places like that. Again, Christians before they saw colonizers or anything like that. So I just don't understand why we can't make those distinctions and realize that this is a global phenomenon that's been around for centuries. And the idea of it being a white man's religion is sort of a new polemic leveled against it, primarily within a Western culture context. But that's all modern. That's really all modern. And so I don't want to be myopic when I answer the question. And I think that's exactly what the gentleman did when they debated the Pan-Africans on hardly initiated. I think they really showed. I do hope people could watch that debate. I think they'll get a lot out of it. So yeah, that'd be why I would disagree with what Cory just said.
Okay. Hey, before Cory answers, so right now, if you're just walking in, the conversation is there was a dialogue with brother Captain Tazariak and another brother from his camp versus two Christian brothers, BK Apologist and Adam Coleman, and it was on a YouTube channel called Hardly Initiated. I think it's over 100, probably over 200,000 views by now. And it was a conversation where both sides were able to share their opinions and so forth. It was a good conversation, in my opinion. A lot of exposure for all parties involved, and also exposure to a different audience. That was it was mostly 99% of Christian audience, Orthodox Christian audience that's very anti people not following the laws of the Bible in a sense, because they talk about people who were homosexuals and change their lives back to God and live by the law. So they're actually very anti-homosexual on that Christian channel. But anyway, so Cory, you heard what Vocab said. What's your response to that?
Yeah, I think a lot of what he said was informational. I didn't take anything as disrespect, because I like when people speak straightly to their thoughts. A lot of people would, even Israelites would be like, if I said that I had interest in Trump's role right now in the Western Hemisphere, then they'll be like, "Oh, you're a fan of Trump." The thing that I like about Trump is that he speaks straightly about his thoughts. You don't really get somebody that's playing too much, and I can appreciate that when men speak that way. That's why I appreciate what Vocab said, and one of the main things that he communicated was that he's glad that the civil rights leaders didn't agree with me, and I would agree. A lot of the civil rights leaders did not agree with me, and that's why they were assassinated on high levels by Europeans. That was the whole point. Like, even when he says, I'm glad they wasn't, I don't forget the conversation that I'm having, nor do I not forget the conversation like with the individual. I don't forget it. So just in all fairness, and I'm speaking straightly, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just want you to know my thoughts as well, Vocab, and everybody else in the room. Like, you're European. So I know you're glad. That's how I look at it in that sense. I don't look at it in like a negative way. I look at it in a reality way. It sounds like Trump. Like, hey, I'm glad that your black leaders did not agree with you. I mean, that's what we've seen in the Greenwood district. I know he just took a phone call, so hopefully he can catch the replays. But we've seen that in the Greenwood district, i.e., Black Wall Street, where the blacks were religious. They had their own airports, they had their own doctors, they had their own laundromats, they had everything set up under them, exclusive from the European man. Everything was set up with them, and then Europeans came and destroyed them. And there was a lot of Europeans glad that those leaders were destroyed. So I don't take it as a negative thing when he says that. He will have to substantiate it when he comes back off the phone in terms of what he's glad of, the things that took place with all of our civil rights leaders. He's definitely going to have to communicate that. As well as I have a huge experience in Christianity. Most Israelites were not raised in the Israelite paradigm. Most of us, almost all of us, and we was raised in the Christianity. And my experience in Christianity was very, very, very wicked bishops and pastors. And I'll speak specifically Pastor Earl Park, well, Bishop Earl Park, of Chapel Hill, church. You can look that up and see that information and what he did. I was a member of that church for 6 to 8 years. Bishop Eddie Long, what he did with that church at New Birth. And I'm quite sure that most Europeans was glad that he actually spearheaded that church. And this is another thing why they are glad. I want to read the scriptures, the book of Judith, chapter 5, and verse 19. It says, "But now are they returned to their God, and are come up from the places where they were scattered." So this is talking about captivity, reading on, "and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them." So this is heathen nations declaring that they are glad that the black man or the Israelite man should be in captivity and should be in sin against their God. That way they can reign over them. So I don't take it offensive at all when, my, European colleagues say that they're glad that the civil rights leaders did not listen to God. I'm glad, I'm just saying we should listen to the Israelite culture that Yahweh rolled out for us, and we should keep that, and then not keep Christianity. So I don't take it negative at all when he said it, but I think it was much more telling to what we teach, that they are glad that we don't yield to God's culture versus Christianity that teaches us we can openly break the laws of God consistently. I yield.
That's what's up. That's what's up. In the meantime, family, share the show, like the show, and go ahead. Let me take this phone call real quick, brother, and come right back.
All right. Well, of course, I never said I was glad that Israelites ignored the law of God or anything like that. I don't take it that that's what people like Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or Frederick Douglass were doing. So that's not what I said or meant. So I don't think that that should be insinuated. That's what I was saying, because that's clearly not what I said I was glad about. I actually specified what I was glad about. I was glad that they saw the equality of created men and women and the dignity that brought liberation, because we are all made in the image of God, and that the gospel is available for men and women across national, geographical, and ethnic boundaries. That's along the lines of what I said I was glad about. So we don't want to straw man people, I don't think. Doesn't make a profitable discussion. And then in Cory's exegesis of the scripture, there are mistakes there. The main mistake is the mistake of false correlation. He's correlating supposed European attitudes about fallen civil rights leaders with ancient Near Eastern people's attitudes about Israelites. Those aren't even the same people groups, number one. Number two, the other people group that's not the same. He's assuming his underlying religious thesis on faith, which is that Israelite equals black. So so the scripture is not even really a relevant scripture to be read, and it was utilized incorrectly. But I think we should understand that when we talk about civil rights, it didn't start in the 1960s. It certainly did not. So we need to make sure we remember people like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. Well, they weren't assassinated. We need to remember people like Sojourner Truth, Phyllis Wheatley. They weren't assassinated. Now, Phyllis Wheatley wasn't a civil rights leader proper, but she pontificated via her poems about the dignity of African peoples. And so there's a certain level. I mean, she's the first, I think, female published author in the United States or something along those lines. Very significant what she wrote. So it doesn't start with the 60s. It goes back much farther. And the source of the power for these proclamations by all of these folks, with rare exception, every now and then you'll get a Du Bois who had a secular outlook. However, Du Bois' mentor was a Christian evangelist who wanted to, quote, Christianize Africa. Look him up. His first name is Alexander. I forgot the last name's brother off the top of my head, but Du Bois actually writes about him in his book as a mentor figure. And so this goes through and through. Atheism, what Garfield believes, has never given anybody impetus for this because basically everyone's just a product of evolution. And to be honest, any version of Hebrew Israelism also has never done it because it ends up bringing division, rage, and quite frankly, historical revisionism that doesn't serve anybody well. And so that's why we say that Christianity should not be described as white man's religion. And unless I missed it when I briefly had to go off, I didn't hear, and I understand we got, it's back and forth, but I didn't hear any recognition or touching of the global element of Christianity that I brought up. I didn't hear anything about the Ethiopians. I didn't hear anything about the North African churches. I didn't hear anything about the folks in India, the churches there, or the Chinese churches that were established way before they ever met colonialists. And so what are we talking about when we say Christianity is a white man's religion? It's almost like we're ignoring the whole planet. Well, the whole planet's there. So I don't want to ignore it. And so this is the problem I have with a lot of Hebrew Israelite historical understanding is how myopic it is. It's like we can only see 5 feet in a historical sense, but we need to look at 100 feet. We need to grab the binoculars. We need to grab the telescope. We need to take a fuller, broader view so we can have the best information when we go forward in this discussion and answer these questions. If we do that, we're going to answer the question much different than what the folks on the hardly initiated panel opposite the Christians, we're going to answer it different than what they answered. And honestly, we'll answer it different than what Cory answered too. I know Garfield's on the phone, but I got to mute myself, but I can listen in right now.
Good deal. Yeah, my son is definitely active, so I'm gonna try to speak over him. Vocab, yeah, I definitely heard everything that you said, and I can appreciate it. But I think what happens is, when we having discussions, people advance too fast into argumentation without knowing what was the original thing that was posed. So let's slow down. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you're a white man and I'm a black man. The question that was asked was, is Christianity a white man's religion? So we're not in ancient Near East at this time. We're all over here in the West on Clubhouse right now. So this is a white man talking to a black man, and a black man has an understanding of Christianity as you have an understanding of Christianity, and we're trying to see how those ideas walk parallel. But a black man asked me that question about the topic. Now, the first thing that I did was address what you said. That was the first thing. You said, I didn't hear anything about how this spread and the global this and the global that. You didn't realize I said it first. I answered that first. I said Christianity, and it's on the replays. I say Christianity, I believe what history would communicate was one of the religions that came from the Israelite paradigm. I said that. Then I said, as it grew, of course, the Romans took over it. I said that. And then I said, it got even more aggressive, as some history would tell us, around the 4th century. I said that. And then I said, later on, we seen crusades, and we seen these huge white Christian churches being built up in the 17, 18, 1900s. I said that. And then advanced to today, we see Christianity by the, of course, high millions, billions, right? I said that. I advanced it, and I spoke about, of course, the ones who spearhead Christianity as the world would know it, which would be the Caucasian race. I said it. I said it all. And then I advanced to modern day times, and I said what is for the quote unquote black man. So when I'm using the term Israelite and I'm using the term black man, I'm not saying that the black man is the Israelite. That's not even what I'm saying, though I believe that. I'm saying the black man should follow the Israelite culture paradigm that was original versus Christianity. That's what I'm saying. So I'm actually standing in this position, not even making another claim at this time. And I'm speaking directly to the topic. I'm saying the black man should not follow Christianity as we know it, which to today is the white man's religion. Like the point that you made when you spoke about Sojourner Truth, you spoke about uh, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, you spoke about Harriet Tubman, not realizing that these are civil rights leaders that's fighting against white oppression. I don't even know if you process the actual topic or the concept of civil rights and why are they fighting for rights for a whole party to be civil. I want you to make sure you just slow down when you think about that. So when you introduce the civil rights leaders, you're introducing my thought. Besides the assassinations, they made their life fighting up against your race that oppressed them, and your race pushed that religion on them. That's why I'm saying no, it's not beneficial for the black man. So even if you were to say these civil rights leaders, spoke in churches and so on and so forth, my father, my literal father, went to consistently Ebenezer Baptist Church. He was raised on Boulevard. He's feet away from me today, and he can attest to that. So he was there with the MLKs and stuff. I'm just saying, I understand that Christianity had its role in civil rights leaders' lives. I'm saying, but civil rights leaders was fighting for civil rights against the white man. That was the whole point. And this is a religion that you guys perpetuate throughout the earth in modern day times. I'm not addressing the Chinese man or the Japanese man or the Ethiopian man, because in context I'm talking about you and I don't know why every single time when we have these civil discussions, we now have to start talking about other races of people. Just for today, and for any conversation moving forward, at least within this month, I am not addressing any other nationality of people, because that's what everybody wants us to do. Every single time we talk about the black nation, quote unquote, every single time people push us to talk about other nationalities. Well, what about the white man? Well, what about the Ethiopian man? Well, what about the South African? No, I'm going to talk about my people, and I pray that you feel comfort that I will talk about my people. And I won't talk about the Chinese people today. I'm going to talk about us and the effects that Christianity have on us. Now, I feel the difference between Christianity and the Israelite paradigm is the promotion of God's laws. That's what I'm saying I want quote unquote black people to get back to. I'm not even saying black people are Israelites, because that's not my argument right now. My argument is, I think black people, if they want a religion that's going to benefit them, it should be doing what God said versus what Christianity is and can be proven right now that is simply antinomianism. It's against what God says and the laws that he laid out in the Torah. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, no, 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 no. Reading the narrative of the Bible, I don't think it will be beneficial for us to go against what God said, knowing that when you go against what God said, bad things happen to you. I think it would be beneficial to do what God said. That's what I'm saying. And then me being raised in Christianity, maybe such as yourself, I don't know if it was as long as you, whatever the case may be, but being raised in a Christianity, I know what it teach and what it does not promote and enforce. Now, maybe we can get into those nuances between Christianity and the Israelite paradigm, the separations, and why I'm saying that the Israelite paradigm is much more productive for the black man today, then we could talk about it versus Christianity, and you can see that. But I didn't come to the platform to attack you or not, but I did come to share my thoughts and ideas, and prayerfully you will actually listen to what I'm saying and respond to what I'm saying. But I appreciate the time.
Yeah, I'm listening, and I've been responding. This came about because I was bringing up Rogan, and then I brought up Hardly Initiated, and one of the topics they discussed was, is Christianity white man's religion on Hardly Initiated? A lot of the stuff that's being bandied about is somewhat of an echo of those discussions, which is fine. We can do it again here, but that's why I encourage people to listen to those discussions, because I think the people will benefit from those. And if you're talking to somebody who says they're a Hebrew Israelite and you're asking a question about, is Christianity white man's religion? and they say, okay, we're talking about Christianity, which has to be defined as a global religion, because it is a global religion and it's been so for 2,000 years. It's not European because it didn't begin in Europe. Its earliest converts were not European, so nothing about it is decidedly European. So when we talk about that and then we go throughout 2,000 years, if we say we're going to discuss this Christianity, the white man's religion, but we're only going to talk about two ethnic groups or one ethnic group, then we're purposely engaging in ignorance. We're saying, here's the discussion on the floor, but we're not going to actually talk about all the relevant information and data. We're only going to talk about this one part I want to talk about. But even if we only did that, if that's all we did, said, oh, well, okay, we're only going to talk about Black Americans, whatever. I've already shown that it's not the case, because of the people that I mentioned. Also, you have the Ethiopian context and Northern African context as well. And so that's not really touched. The Ethiopian church is not under Rome. The Ethiopian church is its own independent thing. That's one example. And so all this talk of Christianity, white man's religion, is just historically naive. And so if we say, oh, I'm not going to talk about Chinese. Well, are Chinese people white? No, they're not. Are people from India white? No, they're not. So no one's saying we're focusing on them. What we're showing is you can't say it's a white man's religion when it's been embraced from jump by all types of people from all over. So how in the world could it be a white man's religion? I think people who are of the Israelite religion, of the Israelite persuasion and their beliefs, in 2025, they just got to do a better job. They will not be able to rely on the same talking points. They are going to need to learn global history better than they currently do. They are going to need to learn other contexts better than they currently know it. They are going to have to step outside of what they think they know already and have a broader picture. If they don't, they will be shown as a shallow religion, not really able to defend its tenets with a lack of historical understanding. And so going to the same talking points without actually inputting data and then purposely saying, I'm going to eliminate massive amounts of data because that's not what I want to talk about, even though the question's about Christianity. So once you define Christianity as global religion as it is, you don't get to say, I know it's global, but we're not going to actually talk about the globe. We're only going to talk about this one particular group who I think are Israelites. That is incredibly mistaken. I don't know why Cory would want to do that. Unless it's because he doesn't want to learn about those other contexts. Unless it's because he doesn't maybe understand the argumentation that since it's a global discussion, you've got to have global inputs into the discussion. I just don't understand the lack of willingness to engage past the surface level discussion that has probably happened 1,000 times already on Clubhouse. I just think it's time to really go better. You know, this has happened. People make fun of the conscious community, but in Philadelphia, I don't know, what is it, 6 years ago now, 5 years ago? Vince Bantu and Brother Jabari had a fascinating discussion on this topic. And Jabari, despite the fact that, you know, I'm not going to say that he won or something like that, to his credit, was familiar with a number of African churches and African church historical contexts. Now, Bantu is an expert, so he knew even more. But nonetheless, it wasn't as if Jabari just said, well, we're not going to talk about that. That's irrelevant. Because Jabari is able to understand, no, this is relevant to the discussion. And so it's impressive to watch them go back and forth. Now, they disagreed about a number of facts, but at least he was in the arena having a mature discussion, not saying, because I'm this ethnicity, this is all I discuss. This is what I mean. No scholastic approach would ever say, well, this is the only thing that I'm going to input into the data. It's artificially limiting your data set. And it's just not a respectable way. And in respect, I don't mean this disrespecting me. It's not a respectable way in the sense of how a mature adult should approach the issues. It's not a respectable way to approach the discussion. And so, no one's bringing up some of the things he's interacted with, but then there's other things he's not interacted with. The Ethiopian church is not under the Roman Catholic Church. It never has been. So it's an example of an independent black church. So how are you going to say Christianity is a white man's religion? Because really old church, and that's just one example. So there's some major problems with limiting the discussion, but unless there's a willingness on the Hebrew Israelites' part to move forward and say, hey, I'm gonna engage at a deeper level, it'll probably just be the same stuff that everybody's heard with no real new revelation. And I guess that's fine. That's just not a very interesting conversation, I don't think, because it's basically repeating talking points instead of engaging in a broader set of data. And that's really what we need to do to move the ball forward. So I hope that people in the audience will become interested in that. I hope that Cory will become interested in that, and that we can have a better, broader, more informed discussion, seeing past just America. Because the world is bigger than America, and the world's bigger than black and white. That's what I hope.
I don't want to cut you off, Vocab. You landed?
Well, hold on 1 second, Cory. For those who didn't join Creative Realities yet, I see a lot of pink tickets. It's not mandatory, but I would definitely love if you guys join. This is Rodney created this group originally, and he's allowing us to use his group Creative Realities for this great discussion that's happening right now. So at least you guys could just join, get Creative Realities, get rid of that pink ticket. All right, go ahead, Cory.
Pink ticket gang in the building. Pink ticket gang in the building, man. Y'all can hold on to them. I'm just joking. Shout out to Rodney and Garfield for holding the space. I want to respond to this in sections, and I think once the bill happened, I believe with UPK and the Christians and on the podcast platform, Harley initiated. I think from that bill, maybe a little confusion. And one thing that I guess others could glean from that build is I'm quite sure that in that conversation, they had a conversation with each other in that build. In that build, they probably didn't have a conversation about who else was talking about something else. They was talking about what they were talking about in that conversation. So what I'm saying is, even if this comes from that, we're still talking with each other because that's what the title is about. So I'm engaging you on the said topic that we're discussing. So let me go back and say it again because I know some people may miss it. So I touched on everything he said. I did not say Christianity was a white man's religion in its origin. I'm quite sure everybody heard me say that at least 3 times, and he is still not responding to that. He's not even acknowledging that I said that multiple times. He's just going back to the same talking point. And that's why I want to give a shout out to the other one y'all were all aware. He says a lot of people cannot have dynamic conversations when they've already put you in a certain space, like Hebrew Israelite. I never used the phrase Hebrew Israelite on the stage. I never said that. Once they say Hebrew Israelite, then they feel like they know who they're talking to. And I think that's the issue. You're never talking to the person you're talking to. So let me say it again, and let's see if Vocab is going to acknowledge what I said and respond to what I said. I believe there is historical data that the Israelites, the original Jews, created Christianity, not the white man, not the white man, not the white man. I said that. Then, as we see it advancing, I believe there's historical data in the 2nd century, maybe even specific of like 135 CE, where the Romans heavily influenced and merged themselves into said Christianity and started to take over it, take over it, take over it. And then it advanced into the 4th century, where we see such a greater influence from the Romans in Christianity, in Christianity. And then you see the Crusades, you see that paradigm. I'm repeating the same thing that I said. And this was all loosely. I also advanced to the 17, 18, and 1900s when there was slavery time and Christianity was growing and developing. There was many denominations and religions, I believe, created in the early 1800s. Many of them, you may not claim that they're Christianity, but they would. So what I'm saying is there was many religions or denominations or factions of Christianity that was created around that time that was spearheaded by the white man, by the white man, by the white man.
Hold on, Cory. Let me pause you so you can mute up with your baby for a second. Let me help you out for a second. Hey, what Cory just brought up was a very interesting take on the history of Christianity. I don't know if Vocab agrees with how the origin of Christianity started, but I find that what Cory said very interesting. I'm gonna definitely clip that from the replays. Vocab, are you there? You want to respond to that?
Could I finish?
Oh, you're not finished? My bad. Go ahead, my brother.
Oh, no, I wasn't at all. All right, so let me continue. Because what I'm saying is, regardless of Vocab responding, I would like Vocab to just acknowledge what I said. That's it. That's all I wanted him to do, was acknowledge that I said it was not the white man's religion. It was just taken over by the white man and pushed through all earth. That's all I said. Now, if he was to say, well, it wasn't pushed on the Ethiopians grabbed it directly from the Jews, with the Jews moving there and then being, raised. And there was a group there that kept the Shabbat and was separate from, every other heathen-based Ethiopian group in Ethiopia, then I would be like, okay, that's fine. There's nuances to the conversation. We've looked at the history of the Ethiopians and their yield to Christianity. And I do feel like it was separate from the Romans. So you can present that. All I was saying was what we see in modern day times being spearheaded. I also utilize the numbers that they've grown and they're strong by the billions. So it's not just white men. I said I was in Christianity. I said Bishop Eddie Long, that is a black pastor. Pastor Donald Battle, that is a black pastor. There's Chinese pastors. It's so many fashions. There's over 45,000 denominations of Christianity. So I'm acknowledging all of it. I said it. You can speak to whatever historical data that you would like, but what you did was you chose to speak about the civil rights. What I was saying was that it is not beneficial for my people. I took a stance, and then you went up against the stance very specifically and said the civil rights leaders would not agree with you. So once you zeroed in on my paradigm, then I addressed my paradigm. And what you're trying to do is leave my paradigm, because you have no comfort in that. And when you left my paradigm, you went back to China and Ethiopia. So I'm going to just acknowledge it. Yes, China has Christianity and they're not white people. Ethiopia has Christianity. They're not white people. Therefore, we can just stop talking about China and Ethiopians' Christianity. What I'm saying is it is not beneficial for my people. It is not beneficial for the Israelites, and it is not the original biblical understanding. Yes, the religion is real and is in the earth by the billions. That's my take on it. So I want to make sure you respond to what I said and you're having a dynamic conversation and not just a still conversation. So just Vocab. Did I acknowledge originally, at least right now, if you didn't hear it the 3 to 4 times before that, did I acknowledge originally that Christianity was not created by the white man? Therefore, it was not the white man's religion. It just became it. Wasn't that the position I took?
Yeah, you said that Christianity wasn't created by white men. That was never a dispute. That's actually to my point. Christianity is not created by white people, and so it's not a white religion. So whatever you're talking about taken over by the Romans, which is false, that's really probably what we need to debate next, because you're completely wrong. Whatever was taken over, then it wouldn't be Christianity. It would be something else. Maybe you have in mind something else, but you don't have in mind what biblical Christianity is, what I represent. So I'm not even sure what religion you're actually talking about at this point, because it's definitely not biblical Christianity. And the reason why I said they wouldn't agree with you is because you started off by saying, well, it can be a black man's religion if they want to be subservient and have a secondary role. My direct response to you was to show that what you said was incorrect. That's
Did he go out?
which is a total lie and insult. And so,
Hey, Vocab, you went out. You went out for about 15 seconds. The last thing I heard was you saying that I said that the black man was like second in class.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah, you can have this religion, Christianity, if you want to be a second-class citizen. That's literally what you said. And my point there, to respond to that, was I'm glad the civil rights leaders didn't agree with you. They never would agree that that's a way to be subservient, because they saw that it was a source of dignity and pride and power. And so it directly refutes your notion that if you want to be a Christian, then that means if you're a black person, Christianity, you're going to be a second-class citizen. That's what you began with. That's what you said. You said, well, it just depends on your role you want to have. If you want to have a second-class citizen role, then sure. And so I directly refuted that, showing you that that's not the case. And historically, that's not the case. So a lot of the argumentation is resting upon incredibly uninformed notions of what happened or didn't happen in history, such as the idea that Rome took over an Israelite religion. It's insane to think that when Rome is the biggest persecutor for 300 years of the Christian religion. I mean, we can read about this when we read Tacitus. We can read about this when we read Suetonius. We can read about this when we read ancient Roman historians. And they weren't practicing an Israelite faith. They were distinct from the religion of Judaism. So I just want to have a conversation where we're actually talking about what really happened and not what we've read somewhere in a meme or something like that, but actually what happened. And notice, I just referred to actual Roman historians who showed their distaste, distrust, dislike, and persecution of Christianity by the Romans. So the Romans didn't take over Christianity. Christianity's message is what conquered Rome. So that's why the Colosseum's closed. I mean, you just go down and you say, what actually happened? What actually happened? That's why pagan temples were closed and shut down and burned.
I believe you're going out again, Vocab. Yeah, I believe you're going out again. Vocab, we can't hear you. If you can hear me, we can't hear you. Or at least y'all can hit the chat and communicate if y'all can hear Vocab or not.
Extended into that as well, and so it's relevant to the conversation. So Cory,
hey, Vocab, just
what makes you took over?
You went out for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, why do you say that Christianity was taken over by Rome?
So can you hear me, Vocab? You went out for 30 seconds.
Yeah, why do you say that Christianity was taken over by Rome?
I got you. So my position is that in 135 CE, there was leaders of the Christian churches. And then Rome had its influence in 135 CE to bring its bishops and take over those churches. Is that a truth or not?
No. Do you have any particular names you could share with us, please?
Yeah, let me pull that up, if you don't mind.
Well, maybe a source. Like, what's your evidence that Rome took over Christian churches in 135?
I got you.
You must have a reason. You must have a reason why you're saying it.
Yeah, of course. And I wanted to make sure that I communicated what I communicated to you and you heard me. I said Romans. That's what I said. So you kept, when you just responded, I don't know if you just want to repeat the last 30 seconds, Because when you just responded, you didn't say what I said. What you said was Romans took over the Israelite paradigm. You repeated, you thought that I said that.
I never said those
Okay,
words.
so what did I say?
Those words never came out of my mouth that Rome took over an Israelite paradigm. You repeated multiple times that this religion called Christianity, as you're terming it, started by Israelites, was taken over by Rome. This is something you said multiple times today.
All right. Can you are you listening?
And then you just said in 135, Rome replaced Christian bishops with their own bishops. And I was asking you for evidence of that. You said you were going to get it for us.
Yeah, I said I was going to get that. Now,
okay.
What is your evidence against that?
Well, hold on. Are you going to get it? Because I feel like
I'm going to get it.
Because if you're going to start asking me questions,
Vocab,
then
are you going to present sources as well?
Allow yourself.
Hey, Vocab.
Did you not hear me
also have to
Did you not? Are you not? Hey, do you not hear me?
Hold on.
You're going in and out.
Time out. Let me do a little moderation. Hold on 1 second. Cory, Vocab, what are you requesting from Cory right now?
That Rome installed their own bishops over a number of Christian churches and took them over. I asked for a source of that. He said he was going to get it and then started asking me a separate set of questions, which is a common tactic when you don't have the source. I don't want to move on until he gives me a source. Now, if he wants reasons why I'm going to...
a separate set of questions.
Yes,
hold on, Cory.
No, I didn't. I started to...
Just bring the source. Just bring the source.
What is wrong with this?
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Time out. So that we don't get derailed here for a minute. So you're requesting what Cory said about the 130 or 135 AD with the whole Roman stuff. All right. So let's allow him to respond to that. All right. Go ahead.
All right. Let me address what I said again so he can understand what I said. Vocab, if you can mute up right quick. Please, you need to understand what I said. What I said was the Israelites spearheaded Christianity. Even Christianity would teach that. Even Catholicism would teach that. And they would say it's the Christianity paradigm came from the Peters and the Pauls and, Acts 11. Those scriptures inside of the Bible. That's what Christianity was created after Christ. So they're saying what I'm saying. That's what I said. I said once churches was established, you seen in the 2nd century were Romans, that's what I said, brought in bishops to also play roles in the churches. That's what I said. And you see that influence being even stronger in the 4th century. Now, the only question that I asked you, besides clarifying questions of what you said, was, do you have information as well against what I said now that we are presenting sources? Because what happens is people think they are tough in these sources and scriptures where they will press you to do something, but they don't have to do the same thing. So all I'm saying is when I present my sources, are you going to do the same? That's all I'm asking, Garfield.
Did you hear me mention Tacitus, Cory?
Just because you mentioned a name, just because you say Tacitus,
I actually said what he said. Did you hear me refer to Suetonius, Cory?
Where did Tacitus say that?
Tacitus spoke about Neronian persecution.
Where did Tacitus say that?
I'm answering your question.
Where did
it's in
Annals.
It's in Annals. In Tacitus's Annals, he talked about persecution of the Christians, where Nero would light them on fire in his garden to light his garden at night, where they were put in the Colosseums and put in burlap bags with snakes so they were bit to death. They were eaten up by lions. I could go on and on. This is a source anyone could look up. Tacitus Annals, spelled Annals. I mentioned in Tacitus. So why are you saying I didn't bring a source? This shows the persecution of Christianity is what it shows. Also, hold on, because you wanted sources and you said, "Oh, he's tough," but now, so I'm now laying out the source. Unlike you, I mentioned Suetonius. Suetonius talked about expulsion by Rome of Jews in 49 AD, which goes along with Acts, and then he also spoke about the fact that there is instigations in relationship to this, and that's why That's why there was persecution. This is in Suetonius. And I also mentioned Minucius Felix. I mentioned how he had a treatise that's an all-out attack on the pagan gods of Rome. There's a book I have on my shelf. If I was home, I would grab it and make it my profile picture so you could see it. There was a number of other sources. I could go on. And the point by that is contrary to what you're saying, because during the period, you're acting like somehow Christians are installing.
Yeah, vocab, you got chipped out.
No, I think he just got a phone call.
You got a phone call too. Go ahead, Cory. You could respond in the meantime. Keep us going.
I want to know who is Tacitus, because if he's pushing to the Tacitus that I'm familiar with, we're gonna have to talk about Tacitus. This is what I'm
part
saying.
15, part 1544. That's what he's talking about.
Say that again.
Part 15.
Yeah,
44.
I'm saying I would like for him to communicate who is Tacitus, because I believe it's like two. So I'm just asking, who is Tacitus? What Tacitus?
I'm not familiar with that. I think it's only one guy, the same guy that they always use to defend and show that Jesus is a real person. That's the same guy, Tacitus, who wrote around 115 AD. And then he talked about Suetonius, another guy who wrote around 115 AD or 120. And then he mentioned, who else did he mention? He mentioned Nero's fire that was documented in Tacitus' works. How they persecuted the Christians and said that they were the ones that started the fire. But that's all I got from what he said, knowing that from my own knowledge and everything. I don't. Go ahead, Vocab. You could continue. Go ahead.
Sorry, I got knocked off because when I get a call, I got to take it because it's for what I'm doing right now.
Cory had asked a question if it's which Tacitus it is, because I think he said he was familiar with two. And that's what he was talking about and what he meant.
Tacitus, the former Roman, I believe he was a senator or some kind of political position, and I mentioned the book. So then we know what Tacitus is. Specific book, and I think it's section 1, if I'm not mistaken. But it's Tacitus Analogue.
Hey, Vocab, you keep going out. Man.
Yeah. Tacitus, Tacitus, and the book is called Annals, Annals. Were you guys able to hear that?
Yeah, you're good. Hey, and Cory, do you want him to actually put the sources in the chat, or do you want?
No. I'm driving. I cannot do that. I'm working. I'm driving.
No, that's fine. I ain't trying to press him.
Yeah, because on the replay.
No, I just hold on. I gave the source. Now, people who are not driving or working can look it up.
We got it. It don't have to be so. It don't have to be like that, Vocab. Like we can present it, but we all wanted to look at what we both put into the chat.
All right. So the way you can find it, if you're Control and F through the document, look for the word the phrase on account of the fire that broke out, or look for the phrase in his gardens, look for the phrase Colosseum, phrases like that, or just type in Christians. I think that would do it too. Any of those will get you where you need to go. My point by that, and that's one source, there's others. Notice I mentioned Suetonius, is to show that Christianity and Rome aren't working together. You don't have Rome taking over Christian churches. You have them persecuting them, mocking them, deriding them. Even in Tacitus' section, he says a superstitious sect that was persecuted on account of their hatred for mankind. Christians were thought to be a hateful people, and the main reason the Romans thought that is because they preached judgment. They preached destruction of pagan Roman ways. This is not a religion that is cooperating with Rome. And so when Cory said this is something where you had the Romans come, it's the opposite. Rome is persecuting the early Christians. The Christians are standing up to Rome. They are being killed. They are being slaughtered. The worst persecution of all, and this is another source, look up Diocletian's persecution. The persecution of Diocletian, it was a 10-year period in the 300s. And it was the worst one. It almost destroyed the Christian church. If Diocletian wouldn't have retired when he did and broke up the empire, he could have destroyed the entire church. So this is contrary
to Cory's point about, well, Rome took over Christianity, and I still want to see this source about 135, where supposedly we're saying that a bunch of Romans took over Christian churches. What is the source for that? You must have a source.
I don't think you understanding what I'm saying. I'm not saying, just listen. I'm not saying the Romans partnered with Christianity. I don't know why you keep saying that. They did not partner with Christianity. I'm saying they took it over by force.
Took over.
And it got
took
more
over. Just give us a source, Cory, please.
Hey, can you just stop?
Okay,
Can
so
you
you have
just
no
stop talking while I'm talking? Because it's about to be one of those conversations. And Garfield, this is
Hold
my
on.
third time.
Moderation. Hold on, Vocab. Hold on 1 second. I got you. Mute your mic real quick.
This is my third time saying,
Cory.
and then I'm gonna present the sources.
Can you
and
mute
then
it
I'm
for
gonna
me?
put him in all type of pickles. So I'm saying I'm trying to have a peaceful conversation with Vocab, but if the conversation cannot be peaceful, because if he keeps misunderstanding what I'm saying every single time, he's not gonna get it. He keeps teaching my point. Rome fought against Christianity. I'm saying the Romans prevailed, and I said they prevailed more aggressively in the 4th century. That's all I'm saying. I don't get the issue. And that's when heathen bishops came in the 1st century. That's all I don't get why he keeps saying, well, the Romans. No, I'm saying,
Cory,
hey,
130. Cory,
Vocab,
hold on.
I didn't interrupt you.
I didn't. Back and
Vocab.
forth?
Do you, Vocab? Look, we can go back and forth,
135.
but we can only go back and forth. Hey, Vocab.
Cory, can we go back and forth?
Vocab, listen, we can go back and forth only if we allow each other to finish each other's sentence. We can't finish each other's sentence. Allow me to finish my sentence, and I'll allow you to finish yours. But I'm saying I can have contentious conversations, but I'm just saying you're driving. I have a baby in my hand. Are you ready for that? That's all I'm saying, Vocab. Because
I'm ready, Cory.
I'm
very ready.
Beautiful. Okay. No, the first thing is that no. The first thing in the 2nd century, you had bishops that were Jews. Did heathen bishops come into the church? Hold on. I'm asking you a question. Did heathen bishops come into the church into the 1st century and become bishops? Yes or no?
Nope. The 1st century is not 135. That's the 2nd century, first of all. Another example of massive historical ignorance. You don't even know how to keep track of this. You said 135, so that's 2nd century. Yes, you did say 1st century. Garfield, did he say 1st century?
I apologize.
You did.
Okay, did he say 1st century, chat? 1st century, I apologize.
Okay, so one more example that you're
an amateur. 135. What is wrong with this dude? Can you answer my question?
I want a source. That's what I want. I don't
want but I'm asking you a question. Did you take a position?
Take a position? I've been taking a position. What do you mean?
The entire time, on the replays, the entire time, I kept saying 2nd century. I said Christianity started in 1st century. That's what I said.
No, you didn't. You said 135.
He keep cutting me off. I'll say it again on the replays. All right, Vocab. You're driving, you work. Would you like to put up a large sum of money to bet against what I said? The replays is on, yes or no?
I don't bet.
I know you won't, because you're. I know you won't, because you're a Caucasian liar. I know you won't, because you're a Caucasian liar. Hey, Vocab, would you like to bet the original thing that I clearly said to you was that the Israelites created Christianity in the 1st century, and around the 2nd century is when we see heathen bishops creeping into the churches, and they got more aggressive in the 4th century. And I repeated that about 3 or 4 times. Would you like to bet that, Vocab? Vocab, would you like to bet?
Now, the reason why you're doing that,
Cory, the reason, hey, Vocab, would you like to bet?
Because you can't.
Hey, Vocab, would you like to bet?
Hey, stop cutting
me off. Hey, Vocab, would you like to bet? Yes or no?
Hold on, guys.
No, he said he would like to have a contentious conversation. Hey, Vocab, would you like to bet? Did you say yes? You breaking up? He breaking up.
Give us a
Did he say yes, y'all?
Give us
no. Answer my question. Would you like to bet? Did I say that?
Did I already answer your question?
You broke up. I didn't hear the answer. Yes or no? Would you like to bet
that my word was crystal clear that I originally said second century. So and I said it multiple times. So if at a later time I misspoke and said first century, if you were listening to me each single time, you would have knew that I was pushing for the second century and it was just a misspeak. And you would have just simply said, yeah, you mean second century, because that's what you've been saying the whole time. You would have just simply said that, hey, Vocab, would you like to bet yes or no?
No, here's what I'll bet.
No,
I'll bet that. Hey, listen, Cory, I don't mind this conversation, but we still gotta let each other speak. Now, here's what I'm saying. The reason why you're doing all this, the reason why you're doing all the showmanship, which I think is just so sad, is because you have no source for your 135 claim. And you did say first century, not once, but 2 or 3 times. You said first century. So how am I supposed to know you supposedly know what you're talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. So I'm asking you to give us a source for 135. You said you were going to do it. Why have you not done it yet? Why are you talking about taking bets? Give us a source. What is your source for this 135
I appreciate
claim?
it, Vocab.
Why do you have no source?
Hey, hold on, I got you right now. I'm putting
what is your source?
He won't even let the sentence complete.
Gosh.
See, y'all know this is how it happens when argumentation happens. You're never arguing up against what the person said. I said something clearly. If you're saying that I misspoke at one point in time because I had to keep repeating myself, that's fair to say. I said it clearly. Now I'm gonna put the
3
source
times.
inside of the chat. Now, yeah, 3 times, and you didn't listen not one time, because that's what the white man does. They don't listen to people who they feel they're superior to, and this is why Christianity is not good for us, sir. And you made that point several times. Now, I was trying to be peaceful with you, and a couple times, every time you got a little aggressive, hold on, white man, shut up. Every time you got a little aggressive, I was saying, hey, relax a little. Like, hey, relax a little. Let's talk normal. Hey, relax a little. You kept trying to do the peon talk. The peon talk. I'm so better than everybody while I'm door dashing out here. I'm better than everybody. Hey, relax, King. So I'm putting it in the chat. Put it in the chat.
Cory, did you just say, hold on, white man, shut up? Is that what you just said?
No, I believe I said, hold on, Mr. White Man, shut up. I believe that's what I said.
That's what you...
Now, didn't you say you wanted to have a contentious conversation? Because I asked you, would you like to have a peaceful conversation? And you said you want to have a contentious conversation.
Because here's what it is.
Was I at least respectful to you when I said Mr.?
There's a reason why I like it. How do you know when a Hebrew Israelite has completely lost the debate and realized he's got squashed? When he starts calling white people the names, and when he starts calling black people the word that rhymes with moon. You do this every time, and I'm okay with it because it shows, number one, your immaturity. You're not ready for a big stage. You don't have sources. That's why you're acting this way. It's see-through to any person who's able to objectively see what you're doing. That's why, Cory, you're not to be taken seriously. And that's why we know you lost, because you start with the racial invective. I don't have to use racial invective. I just slice you up and cut you up, Sourceless Cory. You're the Sourceless Cory. That's your new name. You ain't got no source, so you start talking about bets. This ain't DraftKings. Give me a source, or just quit debating people who know more than you, because it makes you look bad. Sourceless Cory. Sourceless Cory, what's your source that you put on the screen? I can't see it because I'm driving, Sourceless Cory, but what was it? Please tell us. Sourceless Cory, what was the source you put up? Is Sourceless Cory gone?
No, I'm trying to unmute because I'm actually adding the source to the chat. I'm not a moderator, so I have to send it in the chat.
Yeah, but tell us what it is.
No, I'm finna put it in the chat. Give me a second.
But you can
hold
read,
on. Let me get this straight.
Hold on. Could you read me a source, please?
Hold on, Vocab. One second. So let me get this straight, because I was in and out. I was on the phone. So basically, Cory made a claim about 135 or 130 AD, right?
No, 135.
135. That there was Christianity. There was Roman, some sort of influence. I'm paraphrasing, right? That injected into Christianity, right?
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that. You didn't say that. What did you say? What did you say, Cory? Correct me.
I said Romans, meaning heathens, was allowed to come and become bishops in the church. That's all I said. That was the influence. I'm not saying the Roman state or culture took over the influence. I'm saying they were allowed to come and spearhead churches. That's all I said.
You used the word
That's
took
it.
over. You actually used
Look,
the word
listen,
took
listen
over.
to what I'm saying. I explained it multiple times. So if you want to jump over, I keep saying the same thing. I'm saying it wasn't that they took over it. The point was the Israelites spearheaded the churches in first century. That's what I said. Second century, you see the Romans come in. I'm not talking about coming in like, get out, everybody get out. No, they became bishops. They were allowed to become bishops, other nationalities of people. Then I said in the 4th century, that's when it began to be really aggressive. That's what I said. Now I'm going to put the source inside of the chat. That's all I'm going to do. And then we can talk from there. But I just want to make sure everybody understands I'm not teaching against Christianity in the 1st century. And I'm saying it to be specific in a sense of like, I'm using Christianity loosely, like Peter, Paul. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not teaching against that. I'm saying we're talking about modern Christianity because modern Christianity is not biblical Christianity. I want to make sure I have that distinction there as he's claiming victory for modern Christianity for whatever reason. I don't know why. That's why I keep saying, that's why I was very specific with my question that you did not answer. And when I say did I answer, I don't know if you blanked out, to be honest. That's why I asked you, are you saying heathens did not come in, wasn't allowed, the people that wasn't originally Jews wasn't allowed to become bishops in the 2nd century?
No,
That's what I'm asking.
Christians never let heathens be in charge of their churches. What a ridiculous notion.
That's not what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's
no,
what you
that's
said.
not.
You said
what
heathens.
Hey, Garfield.
You said heathens, didn't
What
you?
is a heathen?
You said heathens.
What
So
is
there
a
we
heathen?
go.
What is it?
Christians wrote against heathens. They never let heathens be in their churches. So that's I answered your question.
Make sure. I know you're not. I know what you're saying, Vocab. I'm gonna explain what you're saying.
Good, then you
Watch
understand.
this. I'm gonna explain y'all what this devilish white man is communicating.
Okay,
this is what he's
Sourceless
saying.
Cory.
Hold on one second. Watch this.
All right,
Watch
Sourceless.
This. You finna get beat up for the rest of the conversation. You don't messed up.
All right, Sourceless.
Hold on. Are you gonna allow me to say it or no?
Yeah, go ahead, Sourceless.
All right, one second.
Cory, you text me and let me put the source for you in the chat. Yeah, text it to me.
To you, but I cannot pull it up. Wait, Vocab, 1 second. I cannot pull it up myself, so you would have to open the file and stuff like that. Like I said, I got my son, so I can't go into it. But regardless of that, I want to make sure y'all know what he just said. He said Christians and heathens. Pay attention to what he's trying to say. He's trying to say, Vocab Malone, he's a Christian. A heathen is a bad person. Christians will never let heathens come in and take over the church. He knows that's not the argument I'm posing, but that's the argument he's trying to put forth as if I'm posing, building a straw man so he can purposely understand me. I'm speaking of heathens as in non-Jews or non-Israelites. That's what I'm saying, which is the literal biblical context. We're not talking about Christians as in Christ followers. We're talking about Christians as in Israelites, which is biblical Christians. That's what we're talking about. So when I'm asking him this question, he knows what I'm asking him, and he's moving the goalposts purposely to use these terms as a modern day time to not understand me. That's why I'm making him yield to what I teach. A quick question, Vocab. In the 2nd century, let me say second again. In the 2nd century, were there bishops that were not Israelites? Yes or no?
Were there bishops who were not Israelites? Even in
the second century.
Let me answer your question.
No, I'm gonna ask it again. Watch this.
Cory.
Let me ask it again. Watch this.
Let me answer.
Let me ask it again.
Garfield, I'm not gonna.
No, because you didn't answer. So I'm gonna restate it.
When I'm in the middle of answering, if you interrupt.
First, shut up. The yes or no is asked for first. In the 2nd century, were there bishops that came in to take over the church? In the 2nd century, and I'm saying take over loosely. I know what you mean. That's what a bishop does. He oversees the church, not in a negative way, like he's kicking people and pushing them. I'm talking about he's spearheading the church. I'm utilizing it in the context. In the 2nd century, were there bishops that were non-Israelites, if I can use that phrase, that spearheaded the church in mass? Yes or no? What is that, a 3-way call on the stage? What is this? See, he's purposely not listening to me to say, provide a source. Took over. Heathen, negative people, provide a source. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying non-Israelites. That's what we've been talking about the entire time. Hey, Garfield, you back?
Yeah,
Because
I'm
I know
back.
y'all just took a phone call.
All right. So, Corey, you ready for me to answer your question now, please?
I'll place the question on the table
All
again.
right. Well,
In
let me
the
answer.
second
You already
sentence,
asked it.
I'm
I
gonna
already know the
place
answer.
No, it's just
It's
somebody
actually
just came into the room.
it's
Somebody just came
actually.
into the room.
I'm going to answer your question.
I'm gonna ask it again. That's what I'm gonna do.
No, you're not.
No,
I'm going
you
to
just
answer
took
the
a phone
question.
call. You just took a phone
I
call.
already
Throw
heard
the
the
question
question
out.
because you asked
Corey,
it and
Corey,
then interrupted.
Corey,
I'm
Corey,
trying to answer.
Corey, time out,
Let me
time out,
answer.
y'all. Time out, y'all. Vocab, did you hear the question that Corey has?
Yes, and you
What
wouldn't
is
let me answer.
What is it?
In the 2nd century, where their bishops were not Israelites, that was the question he asked. So here's
Yes
the
or no?
answer. Let me answer the question. The answer is yes, but it's worse than that for you. In the 1st century, there were bishops who weren't Israelites, and they're in the Bible. Titus is not an Israelite, and yet he's put in charge over the churches of Crete. Timothy is not an Israelite, and yet he's put over charge over the church of Ephesus. So you're worried about pagan influence because you think Gentile always equals pagan, which is a ridiculous notion. You haven't read the scriptures. But yet in the pages of scripture itself, it would behoove you to realize there are Christian bishops who were already not Israelites. Were you aware that Titus was put in charge of the churches of Crete, Corey? Were you aware of that?
This is how you answer the question cleanly.
Sourceless
Hey,
Cory,
Vocab,
were you aware?
Vocab, one
Were
second.
you aware?
I'm about to answer it clean. Now, remember his question. He says,
gosh.
was I aware? Watch this. This is easy, Vocab. You easy work. You don't know the level of Clubhouse. I just made him yield, y'all. This is his position. He said, were you aware that Titus was the bishop over the church in Crete? Yes, I was aware that Titus was the bishop over the church in Crete according to the Bible, but you just claimed that Titus was not an Israelite. That was an assertion. You made another assertion that Timothy was not an Israelite. That was an assertion. You asserted it twice. So that's what you did. So, quick question. What biblical proof that you have that cleanly says Titus's nationality? Book, chapter, verse.
He wasn't circumcised, and he's not described as one of the members of the circumcision party.
I didn't ask you that.
Yeah, well, that's the answer.
I didn't. Now, notice, y'all, he just agreed with me with the second century point. He said non-Israelites came into the church and took over it. Non-Israelites. I was wondering why is he arguing with me? Hey, no, I didn't. I just answered your question. I'm going on offense now.
Okay, Corey.
I'm going on offense.
When you, that's fine. But
as long as
lawless
vocab.
Oh, look, you're trying to imitate me. I love it. You're trying to imitate me with my nickname for you. You started off with Mr. Whiteman. You realized it was lame. So now you're going to lawless because I got you a sourceless. Man, you're a mockingbird, Xerox, copycat shadow if I ever saw one. You imitating everything I do, walking right beside me. I like it, though. So the answer is Titus was not an Israelite, and you know it because Paul didn't force him to be circumcised. He specifically spoke about this. The reason why he didn't force him to be circumcised is because he wasn't a Hebrew. It's right there in the scripture. Now, if you haven't read it, it's not my problem. But what did Paul do now? What did Paul give us? Size Titus.
Say that again, Vocab.
What's the rationale for why Paul circumcised Timothy? Because he was half Jewish on his mother's side, but he did not circumcise Titus. What was the rationale? What's your explanation? The Bible does not say.
The Bible does not say that Titus was not circumcised. The Bible says specifically that he was not compelled. When you go into the Koine Greek, it means forced to be circumcised. I was not forced to be circumcised when I was circumcised. Doesn't mean that I was not circumcised, Vocab. Vocab, I asked you a very specific question. Now, y'all watch this. make sure y'all understand. I was wondering
Can
why.
you read the verse, please?
Hey, I'm gonna speak on my time, and you can speak on your
you can
time,
read
Vocab.
the verse,
Hey,
please.
Vocab, I know you're a white
Galatians
man.
2,
I know you're a
3.
white man. You're trying to enforce your oppression on me.
Galatians
But
2, 3.
I know you're gonna enforce the oppression on
It's
me.
interesting. You
I
think
know
the
you're gonna
Bible's
force it.
oppressive.
But listen, I know you. I'm talking about
ideology.
you, oppressive,
Could you read
because you're not
Galatians
in the
2,
Bible
3,
besides
please?
in Malachi and Obadiah. 1 second, King. Let me finish.
Sourceless.
Let me
Please
finish.
read
Hey,
Galatians 2, 3.
let me finish. If you're speaking over me, we can't have a conversation.
All right, sourceless.
All right, thank you. So notice he yielded to me. I want to make sure everybody understands it.
No, I didn't, liar.
Why is he saying that it wasn't non-Israelite bishops that came in the 2nd century en masse to take over the church? That's all I said. But he was saying, no, like the Roman Empire of forcing them, controlling them, doing different stuff like in the Maccabees. No, I'm saying, no, not like that. I'm saying they led the churches and they were not Israelites. He yielded. Do you see how when you having a conversation back and forth, he yielded because he knew that it was multiple sources for that. That's the point that I was saying. And that's what I said to you originally, that they came into the church and they're the bishops. That means they took it over. Bishops meaning running the show. You're retarded. That's the issue. So you yielded to Sourceless Cory. I want to make sure you understood it was many sources for the claim. I thank you. Now that you're done trying to misrepresent me, I asked you a very specific question. I notice, y'all, he cannot present his claim. He said Titus was not circumcised. It was Israelites that was not circumcised. It was heathens that was not circumcised. It was heathens in the Bible that got circumcised, like Ishmael and his progeny. And then it was heathens that was not circumcised. That does not dictate whether you're an Israelite or not. That's fucking retarded. Now, I'm going to ask you the question again, and I'm going to see if you're going to answer it directly. If not, then I'm going to pin you in the corner. Hey, Vocab, what nationality was Titus by name?
Titus
hold on,
was a
hold
Greek.
on 1 second. Hold on 1
Please
second.
read Galatians 2, 3.
Your savior.
Hold
Here
on,
come Garfield, your savior. Hey,
hold on 1
Vocab,
second.
what
Hold on,
nationality was Titus by name?
Cory, I don't want this to be derailed. Listen, you gotta give him his time though. You gotta give him his time for him.
So are you gonna say that to him, or are you just
yeah? Both of y'all gotta get y'all time.
All right, so say it to him. I'm waiting.
All right, go ahead. Mute up.
No. Say it to him. Garfield's on you. Say it to him.
Yeah, both of y'all gotta give each other.
No, say it to him. You just said it to me. Say it to him.
Get out of here, man. You pulling a face.
I wanted to make sure everybody understands. Brother Garfield always have a major bias. Let me get back to the question. Hey, quick question, Vocab.
No.
No.
I
thought Garfield. I thought you said I could have my.
You don't get to. You don't
see
get the
No. But Cory, he never
Look,
got a chance to respond, and then when you asked him a question,
yes, he did.
He said one thing, and then you went back again on a rant. He never talked, bro. I'm listening
Garfield.
the whole time.
Oh, he's texting you.
No, I'm telling you, he never.
He's texting you, isn't he?
Coward.
Ain't nobody need to text me, man. I'm here, man.
So Garfield, now before we let's plead to moderation. Hey Garfield, what just happened in the last 5 minutes then?
You asked him a question about Titus.
Mm-hmm.
He said something about Titus is not an Israelite, right? He's a Hebrew. He's not a Hebrew, and that's why he wasn't circumcised and so forth. Then you answered and asked a question. He said one thing, and then you went back.
Wait. What did you say? He asked and answered a question. What did you say?
He gave a response to one of your questions. And
what was the biblical nationality of Titus? He deflected, did not answer that, and he said that he was not circumcised. That's what he said. He did not give us the biblical nationality of Titus. Then he expounded on. Hold on. He expounded on that, and then forced the conversation to circumcision and being compelled to be circumcised.
Incorrect.
That's what he did. Then
incorrect.
Why? Okay.
Incorrect. Now let me tell you.
Is he allowed to speak over me, or are you going to tell?
No, but he got to respond, Cory. He got to respond
to what? If I'm pleading to moderation, I'm talking to you right now. Okay. This is crazy. Your bias is crazy, and it's telling Garfield. What I'm saying is, He asked me a
So you
question.
just
Then
you
I
just get to control the show.
Garfield, what's
I need to
happening right
interact with what you're saying. You
Garfield,
haven't
what's
given
happening
me
right now?
Hold on, Vocab. Let him finish, and then you get your time. All right?
Finally,
Go
he
ahead.
speaks to his God.
Go ahead.
Okay,
My
in
God.
in the
Wow.
point, yeah, in the point of Galatians, yeah,
Wow.
because you're demonstrating your favoritism. Now let me continue. I don't mind it because I like fighting 2 or 3 people. Garfield, you can get in on it too. In the point of Galatians, I
What a joke,
expounded on
bro.
what is wrong with this white man keep talking. What is wrong?
Oh man.
This is
I
crazy. Hey,
heard you
Garfield,
were. I
Garfield,
heard
what's happening?
Corey. You literally
Garfield,
are
what is
just talking
happening?
and not
Garfield.
stopping.
Hey, Garfield, what's
Hold
happening?
on, Vocab. Let him talk. Let him
There
talk.
you
Give him
go.
his time, and
There
then
you go.
you're gonna get all the time you want.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
look at
sure.
him. Look at
All
him
right.
being. Look at him being.
Go ahead,
Look at.
Corey.
There you go. There you go, Garfield. Pick yourself up. Pick your loins up. Hey, in Galatians 2, I asked them for the nationality of Titus. That's what I said, and the biblical proof of it. I didn't say anything about whether his rod was circumcised or not. We see that practice being done in heathen culture and in Israelite culture. That is not any type of proof text of Titus' specific nationality. Then, when I answered his questions about the bishop and crate and all of that, and we came back to it, I'm asking him the same question again. It's the same question again, Garfield. So if you're gonna allow him to do what he's doing, you gotta allow me to do what I'm doing. You can't be unfair. Now I'm asking him a question, and I'm gonna ask it again. Hey, not Garfield. Well, same person. Hey, Garfield
Yo, I
Vocab.
tell you,
Hey,
boy.
Garfield Vocab. 1 second. What was Titus's nationality according to the Bible? Not what was it not? What was his nationality according to the Bible? Book, chapter, verse. We're going there right now.
Galatians 2:3 says that Greek was his nationality. Galatians 2:3 is the answer to your question. And earlier in the conversation, I brought Galatians 2:3 up, and I said, please read Galatians 2:3. You didn't realize your question had been answered a long time ago. But in your bluster, and I know why you're doing it, it's because you got embarrassed because you made these claims, and then you tried to walk back your claims and say, that's not actually what I said. Here's what I actually said. You totally revised your claims and changed what you said a number of times. You're so wishy-washy, and you're trying to do alternative history on the fly. We know what you said. You didn't say what you said the last time when you repeated it back. You totally soft-sold what you said, and anyone can listen to what you said. You walked it back because you know you have no claim. You have no source for your claim. And then when we try to go to 135, you still have not brought a specific source. You brought a date. So if you're going to bring a date, we need a source for it. You never did that. That's why you resorted to all these other lame tactics. Anybody who knows how charlatans deal sees that you've been completely exposed, sourceless. You're Sourceless Cory who has no sources. What you have instead is showmanship, appealing to the audience. Sure, you can win there, but that's only going to get you so far. When you get into other platforms where it's not the little echo chambers, you're going to be exposed as the absolute fraud that you are. That's why I'm okay with however you want to take the conversation, but what I won't be okay with is you not allowing me to answer any question in any kind of detail or make any response statement. Now, the reason I know you're doing that, though, is because you're afraid of what I'm going to say to you. So what you do is try to say all these other things. Oh, look, he's trying to control. It's oppressive. It's him and Garfield. Woe is me. Because you know that I'm going to bring more challenges to your position. Your position's already been destroyed because of Galatians 2:3, which says that Titus was not compelled to be circumcised because he was a Greek. Some translations will say, although he was a Greek. So I don't know what you said. The Bible never says his nationality. I don't know what book you've been reading. It's not the Bible, because the Bible does say his nationality indeed. And that makes perfect logical sense with him not being circumcised, as well as Paul not compelling him to be circumcised. Now I would ask you a further question, and I guarantee you want to talk about being a betting man. I bet you will not be able to answer this question. You'll do a bunch of filibustering. You'll come up with some new lame nickname. You'll do all kinds of other stuff. You won't answer this question. You said if you look in the Koine Greek, it proves what I'm saying in regards to the circumcision. You tried to pull that card. Cory, what in the Koine Greek proves that Titus was not a Greek, or that proves that Titus was circumcised, even though the text clearly says he wasn't circumcised? Is it something about the inflection? What about the Koine Greek? Is it in a genitive case? What about the Koine Greek lets you know? Does it end in a sigma, indicating future or past tense? What in the Koine Greek tells you, Cory? What in the Koine Greek told you that Titus wasn't circumcised? It wasn't a Greek in Galatians 2:3. Tell us what in the Koine Greek, because you brought it up, but I know the game. You bring up stuff you don't know. You bring up stuff you don't know to try to, but the thing is, I can bring up the Greek. I can pull over and I'll bring it up and I'll look at it, but you can't tell me in the Greek how it proves your point. You know why? Because Greek does not help you in Galatians 2:3. So when you answer, you need to start with how Galatians 2:3 proves your point according specifically to Koine Greek, where it literally says, I did not compel Titus to be circumcised because he was a Greek. Your whole little spiel is destroyed, as well as your claim that the Bible doesn't tell you Titus's nationality. It does, it does, it does. Now, Cory, what in the Koine Greek proves your point of Galatians 2:3? What?
Thank you, Vocab. Thank you. Now, y'all heard me. Let him speak. Let's see if he actually let me speak. He pandered for 3 minutes, did not answer the question directly, and just said, what in the Koine Greek said he wasn't circumcised. I want to make sure everybody is paying attention, at least on the replays, because you're going to have Israelites in the space. They're going to be biased. You're going to have Christians in the space. They're going to be biased. Pay attention to the conversation. We're not arguing circumcision. He's building the largest straw man ever because he can't answer it directly. Now, let me address his claim. Right here in Galatians 2:3. He doesn't know anything, y'all. This is the issue. Galatians 2:3. But neither Titus, who was with me, being a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised. I did not ask you if he was Greek. I did not ask you if he was a Roman. I didn't ask you that. I asked you what was his biblical nationality, guy. This is why I know you're not smart on no level. The biblical nationalities exist in the book of Genesis, Genesis 10 and Genesis 25. What was his biblical nationality? I didn't say what was his citizenship, idiot. This is the issue. You cannot actually build with certain individuals. What you do is you try to run down on little small camps in London to try to talk with them and talk around the point, and then they figure out, damn, I don't know what this guy's talking about. He sounds smart, but you can't talk with us. That's the issue. If you unmute right now and we have a back and forth conversation where we allow each other to speak, be respectful, but then answer each other's questions, you're cut. That's it. Right here in the book of St. Mark, chapter 7. This dude gonna read Greek, thinking that's a nationality. Damn weirdo. It's the book of St. Mark, chapter 7. And I'm gonna read this clean on the page 26. The woman was a Greek. So she was a Greek, reading on, a Syrophoenician by nation. So her nationality, she was a Syrophoenician. And she besought him that he would cast forth the devil out of her daughter. You don't know the Bible. A Greek is your citizenship, just like Paul was a Roman. Yes, the Bible teaches that cleanly. Vocab, you got a little background noise. It's like the little dice in the window that you got hanging while you're door dashing. If you can't, just mute up. It's making too much noise. Inside of the Bible, I say, what is his nationality? Not what is his citizenship. Of course, you have citizens of Greece. Greece was very prominent at that time. I'm not going against that. That's not my argument, sir. Like, have the conversation. I'm saying, was he an Edomite? Was he an Israelite? Was he an Ishmaelite? Was he a Midianite? Was he a Moabite? What about an Ammonite? What about an Amorite? What about any of the Canaanite nations? I'm asking you their biblical nationality, not in terms of whether they was Greek or Roman, so on and so forth. So vocab, can you be a Greek or a Roman, but actually have a biblical nationality like the Bible cleanly says? Yes or no?
You didn't answer my question.
All right, I'll answer your question. So inside of the scripture, my argumentation, vocab, you got to mute up. All right. Inside of the scripture, my argumentation had nothing to do with whether his rod was circumcised. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So I'm going to answer your question, though it's off subject. And because I'm bringing you back to the subject, you keep saying, you didn't answer my question. See, you can talk around small level, I'll call them 6-month zealots. The people that study a little precept package, and then they go out and they teach. But I hear you, Vocab. I hear you. All right, now let me go to it. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 9, and verse 26. Egypt and Judah and Edom. So these will be 3 different nationalities. Mizraim, Edom, Judah. And the children of Ammon, which is the Ammonites, and Moab, they both descended from Lot. And all that are in the utmost corners that dwell in the wilderness. Notice there's a party of Israelites included. For all these nations are uncircumcised. Reading on. And all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in the heart, meaning they don't go after God's laws. So when you see you're uncircumcised in heart, you're not doing God's laws, therefore you're not circumcised. When you're literally uncircumcised, it actually included a whole group of Israelites, meaning you pleading to circumcision is not a biblical point, but you don't understand that. Even in I believe in the Maccabees, you had where they could not get circumcised, and if they circumcised people, the Greeks was killing them, throwing their babies off of buildings and all type of stuff. Vocab, I'm quite sure you're familiar with that historical document in the Apocrypha. So what I'm trying to communicate to you is circumcision is not a plea to nationality. So I want you to answer the Jeremiah 9 and 26, but right now I'm gonna deal with Galatians 2. All right, so coming back, I said nothing about Titus being circumcised or not. The scripture says he was not compelled, meaning forced. That's what it means. I'm not pleading to whether he was circumcised or not. There's not enough. I actually had this conversation 6 weeks ago with an Israelite, a good Israelite brother. And we had this conversation. It's not enough information that really communicates whether he was or he wasn't. It says he wasn't forced. So it seems as if he wasn't, or it seems as if he was. There's not enough biblical information there. But this is not a plea to nationality, because we were talking about Titus and Timothy spearheading being bishops over the church. I did not forget the argument that you made when you proved my point. The only reason why we're arguing Timothy and Titus is we're arguing their nationality because they were over the church. Now that we understand Jeremiah 9 and 26, knowing that it was Israelites, not circumcised, my question to you is, what is the biblical nationality for Titus? Not his citizenship, but the biblical nationality. Book, chapter, verse. Mm-hmm.
Galatians 2:3 says Titus was a Greek.
Headlock. Hey, Vocab, what is the biblical
Corey. Hold on, Corey.
Yeah,
Corey, you gotta mute up because he mute up. Yeah, you gotta mute up. Just to be fair. Go ahead, Vocab. The floor is yours.
Yeah, my bad. I was still muted. Galatians 2:3 says, if our guy wants to come on here and claim that he wasn't a Greek, then he needs to show us why, when the Bible says Titus was a Greek, it actually means Titus wasn't a Greek. And nobody ever said it was about circumcision. The point was the logical connection between his ethnicity and his circumcision. The reason why Paul didn't compel him to be circumcised was because he was not a Hebrew. If he was, even on his mom's side, like Timothy, it would be a stumbling block to have an uncircumcised Jew of any sort with the mission. But in Titus's case, he didn't compel him to be circumcised. You said that the Koine Greek, you said if you go into the Koine Greek as if it was a rescuing device for your horrible argumentation. You never showed how the Koine Greek shows anything regard of circumcision or his ethnicity. Either way, whichever part of the argument you were discussing, you never showed what Koine Greek did. Now you're acting like it's not relevant. Well, if it's not relevant, Corey, why'd you bring up the Koine Greek? It's because you're a fraud. You bring up stuff because you think people don't know or they can't answer. But if somebody calls you on it, you can't actually explain your position. This has happened multiple times in the conversation, but I want to remind you, Corey, of your particular two most glaring failures in this conversation. When I asked you for a source for 135, you still have never provided a source for what you were saying, regardless of what your argument actually was, because you claimed I was building a straw man against you in that, which is false. I was just going with what you initially said. Regardless of what the argumentation was, you still would need to be able to provide the source, regardless of what the point. You never did that. You never had a source for your 135 claim. You changed it to try to ask me a question about Israelite bishops. Before, you were trying to make us do a bet. It's just complete amateur hour with you. That's why you have not brought a source for 135 and instead started asking me about my sources. That called you out on a bluff. I brought up Tacitus. You never went into Tacitus because the point of Tacitus was showing that you don't have Romans taking over Christianity or anything like that. You have Romans persecuting the Christians. So it's just totally historically uninformed, every argument you've made. So the two big glaring failures you need to be reminded of are where you said, oh, in 135 this happened. You have never provided a source. If it's easy, you kept on saying, wait a minute. It's been multiple minutes. You still have never done it. Then when you try to act as if the Koine Greek was a rescuing device for your bad position, you never explained how the Koine Greek shows you that Titus is not a Greek, even though Galatian literally says he was a Greek. But even Titus, who was with me, was not forced to be circumcised, though he was a Greek. It says it. So it's like, why are we acting like it says something else? Because if you read Galatians, the whole point has to do with freedom from the law and bondage and Jew and Gentile alike. And the Titus element is a living testimony to that. So I'm asking you to prove, since you can't pick up the Greek, even though you brought it up, if you can't do it in the Greek language, the Koine, as you mentioned, then just tell us why you know Titus wasn't a Greek, even though it says he was a Greek. This idea of, well, he's a Greek citizen. Well, there's a word for citizen in the Bible, but it doesn't say he was a Greek citizen. And him being a Greek citizen would have nothing to do with him being compelled to be circumcised or not, because that would be irrelevant to the question, wouldn't it? So what does that have to do with the argument? It doesn't have anything to do with the argument. It doesn't use the word citizen. But how do you describe someone who's ethnically Greek in the Bible? You call him a Greek. So the evidence is not on your side. It doesn't use the word citizen. That's why he wasn't compelled to be circumcised. And you still have not brought your source, and you still haven't showed how, even though Galatians 2:3 says he was a Greek, you have not brought a source or any kind of refutation to tell us why you know he wasn't a Greek. So even though Galatians 2:3 says he was a Greek, why are you telling us it's that he wasn't a Greek? And if the Bible wanted to say he was ethnically Greek in the New Testament Koine way, how would it have said it, Corey, besides using the plain phrase, Titus was a Greek?
Hold on, Corey. Hold on.
Oh, come on, bro.
Hold on. Time out. Just to let everybody know, Corey did put the source up. It's from Epiphanius, the Panamerium.
I got it all.
I just want to put it. I pinned it. I pinned it.
Thank you.
All right, cool. All right.
It's not really that deep. I got it. Listen, I want everybody to make sure, because this is one of those conversations. I would admit, I had a conversation like this on Fanbase with somebody. It's real twisty. Like if you, hey, Vocab, I wasn't talking about you. I wasn't really talking about you.
I'm looking at your source. You put up a 700 page.
Wait, Garfield, you see what I'm talking about? You see what you introduced?
The source.
I'm looking at the source. On his time?
I'm looking at the source.
At all at his time? What's happening now?
All right, hold on, Vocab. Let him respond, and then you ask him about the source, and then he could talk about it. All right.
Go ahead, can he mute up? Can the white man mute up? Like, this is weird.
Corey.
He was very disrespectful, so I'm gonna be disrespectful, Garfield. But I'm saying, make sure he mute up though. You got to make sure you utilize fair moderation. I didn't speak while he was speaking.
You trying to say I'm not fair, bro? Come on.
Yeah, I'm saying you're allowing him to speak on my time, and you're speaking on my time. I'm just requesting.
Go ahead.
It's this easy work. This is what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, when you're actually analyzing the conversation, you would see that is not what we're talking about. I want to make sure the argument that we're having. We were speaking about non-Israelite bishops inside of the 2nd century taking over the churches.
Now, when I use take over in like the quote unquote black paradigm, they understand what I'm saying. I'm saying they were the bishops. They took over. In his paradigm, he think I'm saying that they came in with axes and they took over the church and they pushed the church out. No, I'm saying they were allowed to oversee. That's what I was wondering why he has this misunderstanding. If you play back the conversation, you will see each element of the conversation. That's what I'm saying. So with the Crusades, with the I spoke about the white men in the 17, 18, and 1900s who took over the churches. That's what I'm saying. Who not in a, I'm not even, of course it's in a negative way to me, but I'm saying they spearheaded the churches. That's what I'm saying. The whole context of everything that I said was about people spearheading the church. So if you don't understand Southern slang or something like that, and you took take over, hold on, battle? No, I'm saying no. I'm saying they were allowed to come in and take over, like how people would do in reference to your work, like the shift. They would take over the shift. They would take over the job. They take over. It doesn't have to speak to violence. So that was your first misunderstanding. But then once you understood me, you agreed immediately. You agreed. Source for what? If you agree with what I'm saying, you misunderstood me, which is why you requested a source. And I knew I could not provide a source for what you're saying because I didn't say that, which is what you kept saying. Hey, you said this. This is what you said. This is what you stood on. That's why I said the replays is on. Would you like to bet it? And generally, just to be honest, Vocab, I can't really say I don't want your family to lose money. But for the sake of the conversation, I don't want to take any money from your family. I don't want you to take any money from mine. The point is to see if you will actually put your money behind your words. And when you stood on pause for 7 seconds, you realize that you were lying. And we can prove it. And that's how Clubhouse goes. So you said, no, I don't want to bet. I don't want to do that. Because you're a liar. And it was on record. So that's what I'm saying. It's a different type of Israelite that actually hear you. Now notice, he just said that I said Titus was not a Greek multiple times. Now let me ask the fairest moderator in the world. Quick question, Brother Garfield. Did I ever say Titus was not a Greek? Yes or no?
No, you never said that.
White man lies again. And he said it multiple times that I said Titus was not a Greek, proving again he does not know how to have a dynamic conversation. I said Titus was a Greek, but that doesn't necessarily speak to his lineage or his biblical nationality. It just says maybe he was raised in Greece. It doesn't clear up nothing. That's all was my pitch. And then I demonstrated in the scriptures how one is a Greek. It said was a Greek. St. Mark chapter 7, verse 26. It says was a Greek, being a Greek. So it's the same thing, existed as a Greek. But her nationality, she was Syro-Phoenician by nation. Oh, I don't know why he's unmuting right now. This is crazy. That is the funniest cap ever. I would never wear that cap. That is the dad cap. Can he mute up, please? Like, what's happening? Garfield, does he not know he unmuted?
Yeah, he's good. He's muted.
I never said that. This is what I'm talking about, arguing a straw man. But I show in a scripture how one is a Greek, but has a biblical nationality going back to the nations that God created originally. Because it doesn't mean Greek, you can't be Greek, but you maybe sprouted out from Javan. So if you say, hey, he was Javan originally, he was a Japhethite, like give me the biblical nationality for the party. That's what I asked. He can have a dynamic conversation because he's used to running up on small camps that sits in corners that don't want to build with him, and he just make a mockery out of them versus actually listening to them. Hey, Vocab Malone, quick question. I want to make sure this is on record. I said that Titus was not a Greek, and you said it multiple times. Did I ever say that Titus was not a Greek? Yes or no?
Yeah, it's definitely what you implied, because you said that only Israelites were bishops in the first century. So that's exactly what you would be doing. Now, since you're saying it's unclear, as if the phrase Titus was a Greek is somehow unclear, I ask you, What's the logical connection in Galatians 2:3? What I mean by that is this. It says he was not compelled to be circumcised, even though, because he was a Greek. Galatians 2:3 says, Titus was Greek, was compelled to be circumcised. What's the logical connection between him not being compelled to be circumcised and Paul mentioning he was a Greek?
To that. So my position is that because he was a Greek and circumcision around the Maccabean period, I can possibly go grab the scripture if it's needed. I actually just did a whole song on it. But around the Maccabean period, the Greeks were being forced to be circumcised. I'm saying Greeks loosely. I'm saying Greeks as in the Israelites, right? Because we may not agree on a lot of doctrine, but it's important for us to hear each other. So then if you want to address what you heard, agree with what you heard, or cut with what you heard, you first got to start off by hearing. So I wanted to make sure that I said that, Vocab. I'm glad you acknowledged that I did not say it. And the way that you did is you said, yes, you said it because by you saying something else, you implied it. So what that means in white man's terms is that I'm lying right now, and I'm trying to figure out a way to actually say that you said that he was not a Greek, knowing that you clearly said he was a Greek, and I got caught up by the entire audience. My opponent and the moderator proved me to be a liar on the stage, as I'm confessing another Israelite is a liar. Proven lie number 3. Now, getting back to the topic, what I was saying was uncircumcision is amongst all nations. Circumcision is amongst all nations. The males in America, I believe there's studies on 80% of males is circumcised. But in America, it's not 80% Israelites. I mean, at least maybe based off data we know, because different people comes from different creeds. You got Chinese people coming over, quote unquote African Americans coming over. You have European Americans coming. You have all types of nationalities here. But 80% of Americans that's born here is circumcised. So what I'm saying is you have all nations getting circumcised. That's an American practice. Nobody asked my parents were they Israelites and then circumcised me. That didn't go like that. There's plenty of people getting circumcised, and then there's uncircumcision amongst all nations, as the Bible cleanly says that you never responded to in Jeremiah chapter 9 and verse 26, because you know it's a headlock for your position. So all I'm saying is it's uncircumcision in all parties. You even see that happening in the Torah, where they were told to be circumcised, and then they didn't circumcise a large generation, and when they went into Joshua, they end up, I believe after the first part of the siege, when they was like building up the stones or something like that, they end up circumcising a large party or whatever the case may be, because it did not happen in the Torah. So you see Israelites not getting circumcised, and you see Israelites getting circumcised. You see that. So you see it on both sides. What I was saying was circumcision is not some type of concept that proves the nationality of the party. And you knew that, but you just think you're always talking to a 6-month zealot. That's why I'm forcing you to say it every single time. And I'm not going to prove my doctrine on the stage. You will. You'll be a prop for the rest of the time. Hey, Vocab Malone, let me ask you a question. Was uncircumcision and circumcision amongst all nations, including the Israelites? Yes or no?
Circumcision was not among all nations. No. You have examples. Hey, let me answer the question. You've been talking for about 5 minutes. I haven't said anything. I'm gonna get it in with you. I know you're scared to death. But the second look, here's what you do. You monologue. Then the second I begin to answer your question, you don't even let me finish. You don't even let me finish the thing I'm going to say, and then you immediately start going to something else. The point is to have some kind of back and forth. You're scared to death of information. That's why you can't have a back and forth. So, circumcision was not among all nations. You have a limited set, and you got to show if you're going to say circumcision was among all nations, because you did ask that. You said, was circumcision and uncircumcision among all nations? The answer is no, circumcision was not among all nations. So there's the answer to your question. Now, you never at all showed the connection for why it said
in Galatians 2:3, even though Titus was a Greek, he wasn't compelled to be circumcised. You never showed the connection between those things. You act like it's some deep mystery. You talked that whole time. You started talking about people coming into America and all this other nonsense, but you never actually showed the answer to the question, because you know the only thing that makes sense is the reason why he wasn't compelled is because he was Greek, just like the text says. You can't deal with the text says. You just got to filibuster and say how great you are and all this kind of stuff. It's incredibly embarrassing. I got secondhand embarrassment for you. Look, you can't answer the question. You know Galatians 2:3 says he was clearly a Greek. You don't have any evidence to the contrary. You literally stumbled around and said, well, maybe he was like raised in Greece or something. Maybe that's what it. No, it's saying the reason why he wasn't compelled to be circumcised is because he was a Greek, just like the text says. And you're over here talking about maybe he was raised in Greece. Like, what is this? This is biblical exegesis to you? It's like, come on, man. And as I said, the Koine Greek never saved you. It never rescued you. You brought up Koine Greek as a trick, as if that was going to do something for you. You never explain the relevance of Koine Greek to your argumentation. So now what you're going to do is when you have a time to talk again, you will go as long as possible, rambling and rambling and rambling, and then be like, let me ask you a question. And then the second I begin to answer, you won't be able to let me finish. Now, Sourceless Cory, the whole time I have been demanding that you put up your source for this 135 claim. You've totally revised your claim from what you originally made. That's already problematic enough. But here's what we need to do. You literally posted a 7 and act as if that's a source.
Hey,
that's not a source. What? What page?
You're blocked out. You're blocked out.
Yeah.
You're blocked out. Say it again.
What page? What page of the 715-page book that you put does your source come from? If you don't have the page number, then can you at least read us the phrase or tell us the chapter that you were referring to? Because in response to what's your source, you dropped a link to a 715-page book on Brill. Cory, have you read that 715-page book that you dropped a link to? Have you read this book?
Thank you for asking. And I'm going to respond to everything he just said. Yes, that's my first answer. Secondly, I'm going to do exact vocab. Can you mute up? Like you just
now I have a follow-up.
Oh
just
like
you asked me a follow-up. I have a follow-up. Okay.
No, I didn't ask you no follow-up.
Yes, you did.
Allow me to ask you no follow-up.
Multiple times, that's what you did.
You did not allow me to ask you no follow-up.
What is the book? What is the book about?
Garfield.
What is the book about?
Garfield.
What is the book about?
Hold on, guys. Hold on. We got so.
What is the book about?
What are you talking about? I was going to answer it.
All right, let him answer, vocab.
This is retarded.
What's the book about?
Shut up.
What's the book about? Sourceless.
You already
Sourceless. Sourceless. You're going to answer that question?
I posted a source that you know in your life.
Sourceless. Sourceless Cory. What is the book about? Sourceless Cory.
Garfield.
Sourceless. What's the book about? Sourceless.
Vocab.
I'm gonna do this on his time.
Vocab.
Yeah.
You got to let him
crashing out.
You got to let him answer.
All right. As long as Sourceless.
He thinks he got you against the rope, so that's why he's trying to get the question.
As long as Sourceless can give us a page number,
crashing out.
chapter number.
We got him crashing.
It's funny. Crashing out is destroying your position. That's hilarious.
Give him a chance. Give him a chance.
All right, tell him what the book's about. Sourceless. Go ahead, Sourceless Cory.
Look at crashing out. Now, Garfield, do you see what he just did? You understand that that's coming on his time. Do you understand that?
Yeah, go ahead, my brother.
All right, thank you, Garfield. He's coming. Did anybody teach vocab who I was? I control way better than him. He's way too proper. We know where he come from. Nebraska is not going to save you in trolling. I just want to make sure I say that. Now, the source, this is Epiphany.
Nebraska, what are you talking about?
What is he talking? What is he talking?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Nebraska?
Look at him. He's upset.
Hold on, vocab.
What are you talking
about? Vocab, you gotta let him finish. Vocab, you gotta let him finish.
What's the book about? What's the book about, Sourceless?
It's not gonna save you in this conversation. Them Boy Scouts.
What's the book about, Sourceless?
Look at Garfield. What we doing here?
I know y'all got on matching hats, but what we doing? We could literally went into this talk.
Corey,
And
Corey, you can't troll the moderator. You can't troll the moderator. You can't troll the moderator. All right, Vocab, let him respond. Let him respond. Let him respond. Okay. Let him respond.
Yeah, what's the book about, Sourceless?
Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Capwin. Look.
Go ahead, my brother.
Okay, so I'll continue to speak. That dude got mad because I knew he was from Nebraska. That's crazy. All right, so Epiphanius is an Israelite. When you go into the term Panarian, that's going into heresy. So Epiphanius was like a major hater of like what do you call like Judaism. He was like a Christian on crack. You know what I mean? That's what he was, like going into Gnosticism and mysticism. That's what he was. So that's what the source is about. So it's more so heresies. So he's going into he's calling everybody out. You know, like for an example, I would give it, let's just say if you actually was an Israelite vocab, but then you also hated Israelites like you do. Let's just say if you wrote several books on it. If you wrote several books on it, like heresies against Christians, because he did that, heresies against Israelites, the beginning, my bad, some just fell. The first century Israelites, he went into the Nazarenes, the Quartodeciments, he went into the Ebionites, Ebion himself, he hated Ebion. That's what it's about. So he's going into the heresies in which he feels is heresies that was in the first century, second century, etc. So we have the book. I know you feel like black people don't read, but we can read a little bit, vocab. Okay, so that's what the source was about. Now, I'm not giving the page number. I'm just gonna do what you said do. So punch in the word Christian. This is what he said. I can't do it right now because I'm active. Just like I can't do it right now. It's taking me a long time because I'm active. So I can't, you know, we both said that our hands was tied. So I can't go to the inserts right now. We'll punch in Christian. Then that'll help you if you actually look it up on Internet Archive, or you just grab the link itself and you go through your iPhone, punch that in. I can send the books to, I think that's books 2 and 3. I may have sent in the wrong thing, but you got books 1 and 2 and 3 that he did. So he went in heresies on the Christians and heresies on the Israelites, and he speaks about the a non-Israelite paradigm coming in to oversee the Christian churches. That's when they started to come in kind of heavy in the 2nd century. That's what my position was, and Vocab agreed to it. So I don't know why he keep talking about sourceless. The only source he ever told me to pull was that source, but he misunderstood what my point was. And then when he misunderstood it, he agreed with my point. So you've just been misunderstanding me all day. It's just been straw mans back to back. And we're going to do a slow breakdown on this. We're going to play what I said, and then we're going to play what Vocab responded to. And then we're going to play what I said, and then we're going to play what Vocab responded to. And then we're going to play what I said. We're just going to keep doing that. And that's why I speak long enough, because you're not responding to nothing I said, and you just keep saying the same thing. Now, let's go into your source. This dude presented Tacitus. That's why I asked you, which one you talking about? Which one you talking about? Let's read Tacitus. This is the dude he pled to. The dude he said that knew Israelite history. That's talking about the history of quote unquote Judea, right? This is this dude. I'm reading in Tacitus. I believe this is Cornelius Tacitus, the history 5.4. Watch what this guy say in 5.4. We're actually going to read it. We got this pulled up clean. It says, everybody listening, let's see if Tacitus was actually wise and Tertullian rebuked the out of Tacitus. You know that, though, Vocab. I don't know why you play it to this source. Now, I'm going to stump you out right here and bring you back to the Bible, which is an area that you know you don't want to touch. You can play with them 6-month zealots, but you can't play with me. This is the book of the history, Tacitus 5.4. Look what Tacitus says, y'all. He's giving the history of the Israelites. Listen to this. Moses, wishing to secure for the future his authority over the nation, gave them a novel form of worship. That's a fact. Watch this. Opposed to all that is practiced by other men. That's a fact, Tacitus. Reading on. Things sacred with us, with them have no sanctity. while they allow what with us is forbidden. So he's saying that's different from the other nationalities. I'm gonna read on. Watch this. In their holy place, they have consecrated an image of the animal by whose guidance they found deliverance from their long and thirsty wanderings. What the hell are you talking about, Tacitus? Where is that in the Bible? Reading on. They slay the ram, seemingly in derision of Haman, and they sacrifice the ox because the Egyptians worship it as Apis. What the fuck are you talking about, Tacitus? Where is that in the Bible? Reading on. They abstain from swine's flesh. Uh-oh, Tacitus. You're right. Leviticus 11:7. You're right. Keep going. In consideration of what they suffered when they were infected by the leprosy to which this animal is liable. What the fuck are you talking about, Tacitus? Where in the Bible is swine connected to leprosy? Reading on. By their frequent fasts, they still bear witness to the long hunger of former days, and the Jewish bread made without leaven. Okay, I can walk with you, Tacitus. Is retained as a memorial of their hurried seizure of corn. We are told that the rest of the 7th day was adopted. Adopted? Because this day brought it with termination of their toils. Okay. After a while, the charm of indolence beguiled them into giving up the 7th year also to inaction. What inaction? What are you talking about? But others say that there is an observance in honor of Saturn, either from the primitive elements of their faith having been transmitted from the idea, who are Judea, who are said to have shared the flight of that god, and to have founded a race, or from the circumstance that of the 7 stars which rule the destinies of men, Saturn moves in the highest orbit and with the mightiest power, and that many of the heavenly bodies complete their revolutions and courses in multiples of 7. When you continue to read this, he's actually teaching that Israelite culture came from somewhere else. This is the guy that he's pleading to. He's not pleading to somebody who's actually being honest with the Bible. He's saying, hey man, if you read this book, everybody go read this book. Read paragraph 4, read paragraph 5, read paragraph 6. He's pleading to Tacitus. You had individuals that hated Tacitus because he was a fucking liar and he was making up shit. What are you talking about, swine and leprosy? What are you talking about? And this is the guy that he pled to. So the source creator, he pled to Tacitus and then said post Tacitus and go into Tacitus, the annals, like Tacitus actually kept up with the annals clearly. Hey, Vocab, and right here in the history, right? The annals, 5.4, in this section right here, in the end, right here in this section, where it says, we stayed away from swine's flesh because swine's flesh gave us leprosy. Is that biblically true? Yes or no?
All right. Now you're going to let me interact and talk, right?
Yes or no?
Okay. I'm going to interact and talk. No. Cory, did I say that Tacitus was a Jewish or a Roman historian? Which one did I say?
You didn't say, but Tacitus.
Yes, I did. I said he was a Roman historian.
Right,
I clearly said
can I at least
Cory, I said he was a Roman historian. I clearly said that.
My sentence.
I said no. I said he was a Roman historian. Cory. Now, next question.
No, I'm going to answer in full.
See, do you see how? Do you see, Cory? Cory,
you're cutting off my answer.
Did I say he was a Roman or Jewish historian? Which one? I said he was a Roman historian. Number one. Number two. You already answered. Thank you. I appreciate it. Did I say that Tacitus? Yes, that's what I said. And you said, but you said that what it is. You said that what it is. You said that no. I claim that Tacitus.
Time out.
Notice how I ask him what.
Time out, guys. Time out. Both of y'all. Time out, man. Come on, man. How we gonna have a conversation where both of you guys talking over each other? Christian Cory, are you done with what you're saying so that Vocab could go because you read Tacitus, you read this is what I don't understand, Cory. If you read something out, right, and say Vocab reads something out, and he asks you a question, do you want him to now respond to your answer and go on a long rant? Because that's what's happening right now. He wants to get in You just read the whole of Tacitus and ask him a question, and then when he gives you the answer, you're gonna go back again and talk again another long time. That's not fair, bro. That's not fair. Both of y'all gotta have equal time. Let him respond and let him say what he gotta say, and then you guys go back and forth.
Garfield, you not paying attention to the conversation. The conversation started by him monologuing, and then he landed. And then I monologue, and then I land. And then we kept monologuing. I want to make sure that it's on the record. And Garfield, if you want to bet it too, we can play the replays back. And I already know you don't, because you know I'm smarter than you. What I'm saying is we both monologue. Wow. Hold on. We both monologue for over 3 minutes, 5 minutes. We both were doing that. And then we were landing. The only thing we added was we started landing with questions in our monologue. We both been doing that. That's what happened. Anytime we spoke at the same time, he does not know how to mute up and allow somebody to answer his question. So this time he started with a question. He did not monologue. Every monologue he had, I was quiet. Garfield, you not being honest. Now, Garfield, quick question. Would you like to go through these replays with me and bet what I'm saying is true? Yes or no?
Then Garfield, you get Garfield.
Y'all are liars.
Garfield, you're getting
with the replays.
Totally punked on your own show, man. All right, now Cory, let's continue on. Let's continue on, please.
I'm going to continue with my answer to the first question.
Oh my gosh, you just went on and on and on and on, and now you're going on.
You cut my.
All right.
Allow me to answer the question. That's it. Now, you asked me directly, you said, did I say that Tacitus was a Roman historian? My position was no, because when I asked you, I said, which Tacitus? And then I think you had some phone disruptions or a phone call or something like that. And I was trying to get the clarity from Garfield and you. Now, you may have said it after that, but I'm not going against the fact that Tacitus was a Roman historian. My position.
Yes, you are. Now let's interject, because you said you already answered. Now I have other questions for you. We're going to interrupt. What you said is, you said, "Oh, here's the guy the Vocab is claiming knows the Bible." You said, "Here's the guy the Vocab is claiming knows the Bible." Remember you said that? I never claimed that Tacitus knew the Bible. In fact, I asked the exact opposite thing.
Over me, though.
What I said is,
both of y'all yield to moderation. Both of y'all are crazy.
What I said
is, hold on, Cory. Hold on, Vocab. Hold on. Cory, finish your point and then let Vocab go. Let him finish, Vocab. Go ahead and finish your point. Let's go.
Now, my position was Tacitus was a Roman historian who does not fully understand the quote-unquote Jewish culture in first century, as he proved that he does not understand it. And other historians hate his guts. That's who you pled to. That was my position. So no, you did not originally say that. That's why I asked that.
All right. Tacitus, if you knew anything about ancient Greco-Roman historians, I have a number of books by Michael Grant, who's an expert in the field, was actually highly respected among Greco-Roman historians for his accuracy to detail. The example that you gave regarding Tacitus had to do with ancient Jewish history. So if you understood the way it would work, Sourceless Cory, when historians get closer to their own time, they tend to be more accurate, because you weren't talking about the first century when you were talking about the Moses situation. You were talking about a different time. So your claims are all bunk. You didn't even know who Tacitus was, and now you're claiming you know that historians hate his guts. It's lie upon lie upon lie. I never said that he knew the Bible or Jewish history. When you did your rebuttal, you said, this is the guy Vocab is getting us to go to as the one who knows the Bible or knows Jewish history. On the contrary, I literally said the opposite, because what I said was Tacitus derided Christianity. I made that point several times. I even made the quote that he called them haters of humanity. The point, if you remember, Sourceless Cory, was that Tacitus is an example of the Roman gentry, the Roman elite, who dislikes Christianity and documented the persecution against Christians by the Roman Empire. All that does is show that Rome didn't take over Christianity. They persecuted them, and the Romans were resisted by the Christians. This is something you need to be able to follow to properly understand this discussion that you are having. You didn't know which Tacitus was. Anyone who knows first century Greco-Roman history, when you're talking about Tacitus, knows Tacitus is Cornelius Tacitus and knows some of his works. You were out to lunch on that. Now you're acting like you're an expert. You're telling us that other Greco-Roman historians hate his guts. Please tell us, who are these other historians who hate his guts? Please tell us, Sourceless Cory. You're not going to be able to do it because it's poppycock. So you didn't know Tacitus. Now you're acting like you're an expert on Tacitus. Now you're reading something irrelevant to the original quotation. I mentioned he derided Christian religion because he also derided Jewish religion. And I mentioned that he derided the Christian religion a number of times. The point was not to show that he knew the Bible. The point was not to show that he knew Jewish history. The point was to put to rest your claim about, oh, look, the Christians let the Romans take over. They never did. And the persecution I gave was evidence of that. Sourceless Cory. Now, in regards to the source you tried to pull out of nowhere after an hour of waiting, and then you say, well, maybe I gave the wrong book. Actually, I think it was a different book. You don't even know. I do know what it's a hard name to say. Epiphanius is because he's a Christian apologist. He's a Christian apologist. You try to say, he's an Israelite because he was born in Palestine. It actually doesn't say his ethnicity, but he was a Christian apologist, and he's not writing in the 2nd century. But your claim was that, in 135, the Romans took over the Christian churches. Well, why are you going to a 4th century source? He's writing in the 300s. Why are you going to a 4th century source to try to prove something that happened in the 100s? That doesn't make any sense. Also, the book is not about what you're saying about an Israelite state of mind being taken over by pagan Roman philosophy or some other nonsense. In fact, you even mentioned it yourself. You don't even understand when you're contradicting yourself. This is such amateur hour. You said, Epiphanius, he hated Ebion. That was perfect, because if you know anything about early church history, the Ebionites, and there's no guarantee there's even someone named Ebion. Ebionites is not necessarily named after the founder of a sect. There's debate about that. The Ebionites has to do with poor ones, is where their name comes from, most likely. They were people who said that you had to keep the law. They were trying to push Old Testament legalism upon Christian church. And Epiphanius documents them as being heretics. So in the source where you try to say, oh, look, he's showing that look, these guys came in and took over, it's the opposite. So it's just like time after time after time, you just show yourself to be an amateur. Please show us the exact place in the source of Epiphanius where you're trying to give this source that proves what you're saying. You can't do it because it was BS from the beginning. You've never showed us in Galatians 2:3 that there's a good reason to think Titus was anything other than a Greek. You never explain how the koine helps your weak position. You never explain sourceless why Paul would tie in a connection between Titus's not needing to be circumcised with the fact that he was a Greek. You never showed how that could make any sense unless he was actually a Greek. You never did any of that. This is awful. And all you keep on doing is bragging about how great you are. Oh, maybe he doesn't know who I am. It's so funny. I've debated Gorilla Hebrew. I've debated Zion Lex. I've debated Jabari. I've debated Tazariak. I've went on the street. I'm not afraid of your nonsense. You're the worst kind of amateur. You're the amateur who thinks he knows what he's talking about. This is so embarrassing. And I remind you, every point I just raised again, you have never succeeded in giving us the information for your point. You just try to move on to the next thing, use invective, appeal to the moderator. You're literally punking Garfield on his own show over here. And you haven't been able to answer the questions about Tacitus because the point of Tacitus was not what you were raising. So, Cory, what was my original point why I brought up Tacitus in the first place? Can you explain to the audience the reason why I brought him up and it's relevant, and then show how your use of reading Tacitus, whom you literally just discovered, rebutted that point? Please review that for us. Yeah. I'll mute and listen.
This is a much more beautiful conversation. Vocab, you said you'll mute and listen. Can you do that? You can't breathe down hard.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm waiting. Go ahead.
Everything, but this conversation, man, I'm out. I could do this all day. Hey, Vocab. Listening is an art. You're a terrible listener. You brought up the point about Tacitus because you was bringing up some of the early historians in terms of like primary sources that what you was presenting, and you was I guess you was going up against misunderstood thought that you thought I said about first century or second century. So first, when I asked you, I said, "Hey, I said second century." No, you didn't. You said first century. I said second century. No, you didn't. You just now said first century. I said the entire time I've been speaking, I keep saying second century. Did you hear that? Would you like to bet it? It's on the replays. You got extremely quiet. I just want to make sure I keep letting you remember. The point of bringing up those primary sources was because you were saying, I don't see no Roman Empire taking over, like bloodshed, and taking over the church, and you misunderstood what I said. So your whole argument of Sourceless Cory was based off of your ears mishearing what I was communicating to you. And then once you understood what I was communicating to you, you yielded. That's what you did. It's on the replays. I'll ask you again. And then you're going to hesitate with your words when you're about to answer the question. I'll ask you again. When I said you don't know who you're talking to, I wasn't boasting myself to say I'm the best Israelite in the world. I wasn't saying that I'm better than Gorilla Hebrew or Captain Tazariak. It was in a context of listening is an art. Both of those individuals that you named, if you call them directly, they'll probably tell you, nah, that brother hears better than might be anybody in Israel. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So those anybody you bring up, I'm gonna make a point out of. They'll tell you I'm one of the best listeners. So that was the point that I said. You don't know who you're talking to. Maybe Garfield should have prepped you for who you're talking to. I hear you. That was the point, Vocab. Now notice he said, you just learned about Tacitus right now. You didn't know who I was talking about. Everybody look at my PTR. This was in 2024, 3-4 months ago, guys. Do y'all see that? Texting multiple people about Tacitus. Do y'all see that? What are you talking about? Low level vocab. Fourth lie. This is just lies back to back. And we're going to do a whole video on it. So we hear you, Vocab. You're like the pander that you do doesn't work here because it has to be supported with facts. The only reason why you said present a source, because you thought that I was talking about something in second century that I was not talking about. When you found out what I was talking about, then you yielded. That's all you did. Your critique on Epiphanius is needed because that's what everybody should do. We should critique the primary sources and presentation of so on and so forth. That was the issue. So I just wanted to make sure that I proved you wrong every step of the way. Now, Vocab, I want to be fair to you. It's still my time, but I just wanted to ask you, don't take over, but did you land with a question? I just want to make sure that I'm not dodging your question. But don't take over. Did you want to reinsert your question, or did you just speak and land?
Yeah, I asked you a question, but I don't think I'm going to get an answer. So it's
what fine. Is the question?
Why did I originally bring up Tacitus?
I just answered that. So no, appreciate it. I said you originally brought up Tacitus. I wanted to make sure I covered it. You originally brought up Tacitus because you thought that I was teaching something about the second century that I was trying to tell you that I was not. I never said it. And your proof for that was that I used the word took over or the phrase took over. And I'm saying, no, I'm using it in my understanding. Took over as the literal church. This is not war. Church, like church. The heathens became bishops. They took over the church like that. Not like take over how you're looking at it. So you were fighting up against something I was not.
No. Oh my God. I never mentioned war or bloodshed, Cory. You're inserting that as if I said that.
No, but it's still my time. I'm not. Look, I'm gonna be fair to you.
But Cory, I didn't.
It's still my time.
No, you asked me a question. So
look, no, I didn't.
Oh my goodness,
I did
Cory.
not ask you a question. I didn't.
Yes, you did. And then you said, "Well, I did." You said, "Did I answer the question?"
You already answered. Okay, you already.
And then you followed it up with, "Yes, I did." So I'm explaining to you why you didn't.
Vocab, you already.
Because you did a straw man where you said, "Well,
what are we doing?
You're acting like it's blood and
what are we doing
in war." I never said anything about took over.
What are we doing?
Bloodshed and war. I never.
I'm back.
You've been back. I didn't speak on his monologue. What are we doing here?
All right, we back. He muted up.
All
We
right,
back.
thank you. Thank you. It's that simple. The white man just can't help himself. So all I was saying was, when you presented those sources, it was based on something you thought I was claiming just because I used the phrase took over. So in your mind, you thought it was like
Nope.
forth. Let me get
Nope.
No, I wasn't saying. Hold on.
Nope.
Be quiet.
Nope.
Let
That's
me be
incorrect.
quiet.
It's incorrect.
All right, so Garfield, do you understand I'm going to be speaking on his time? I just want Garfield to understand it. You brought on a guest, and he's not respecting your platform.
All right, cool. I got you. I got you, Corey.
I don't know
All right,
why
mute
y'all
up,
praising these individuals that have no
vocab.
type of.
All right, why
All right,
why
go
am
ahead.
I here then?
Here he goes again.
Garfield, I need
Look
to
at
I need to talk to you,
Uh-oh.
Garfield. Seriously.
No, my God.
Why am
You
I
can talk to him
here
about that
just to
privately.
listen to Cory lecture?
You didn't he just lecture?
Why?
He's been lecturing the entire
What is the
time.
point? If I want
Look
to
at
listen to
You cut on
go
everything.
on and on,
He's spazzing out.
then I'll just.
Well,
I
go
mean, like
away.
if you look at the live chat,
Well,
for example,
go away, but you're
you'll
not
see
going to
people
talk on my
saying,
time. Go
"Man,
away.
Vocab couldn't
You're-
speak. Why?
You just
Why can't he
spoke.
speak? You
You
know?
just spoke.
Look at the live chat. Look at the
All right,
live chat.
let's look at the live chat. Put
Yeah,
ones in the chat if Vocab Malone been speaking the
read the
entire
actual
time.
comments. Read the actual comments.
Put
Read
ones
the
in the
actual
chat if
comments,
Vocab
Cory.
Malone been speaking the entire time.
Read the actual comments. Man.
I'm gonna read. Look, the comments is individuals that I've destroyed on this app, and they're only supporting you because they think you're their champion.
Oh,
So you
man.
read their comments. You look. You don't know where you are. You don't know where you are. Hey, put ones in the chat if Vocab Malone has been talking the entire time since the beginning. Nigga been talking about all types of shit.
What are they gonna put?
But the white man keeps interrupting.
What are they gonna put as an alternative then?
But the white man.
Ones.
What are they gonna put otherwise? Put twos in the chat. What was your what do you want to put for the two? I'll let you.
You're mainly monologuing, and we're not having any back and forth.
No, we're both monologuing.
Yeah, give me a. Let's honestly, let's see it too.
We're both monologuing. Put twos in the chat.
I'm talking about
if Vocab have not had an opportunity to monologue as well.
You're talking most of the time, and then the second I begin to answer, you cut off.
Put twos in the chat if Vocab have not had the opportunity to monologue as well. Mm-hmm. All right, so now that you just cut me off, can I finish my dissertation as you just gave yours? This is crazy. He's forgetting that he was talking. Nigga came in with matching hats as twins, tripping.
Man, you're punking out Garfield on his own joint, man. This is bad.
Hey, can I talk on my time? I don't care who platform I'm on. I stand up for myself. Can I talk on my time?
You don't really stand up for yourself. I mean, if you want to stand up for
yourself,
can
I talk on my time though?
Then you'll let us have
talk on my time though, because I'm gonna stand up for myself. I know Garfield is not gonna stand up.
A real back and forth, you
know.
No,
I'm gonna stand up. No. I'm gonna
talk. Let us have a real back and forth, you know.
I'm gonna talk on my time.
One thing that y'all do
why is he allowed to talk?
Oh my gosh, is this really?
Yeah, this is really white privilege at its best.
We're gonna do 10 more minutes and we done.
Look at this.
I can't deal with this
I know it.
This is you got punked on your.
Look, now he look at he's trying to talk on my time. He's trying to talk on my time.
All right, go ahead, Cory.
They end up in all the trick bags. And watch this. Point for point, we're gonna do a long, slow breakdown on this. I made a claim that non-Israelites came in and became bishops in the 2nd century in mass. That was my claim. He misunderstood the claim and thought that I was talking about like kicking all the Christians out and then they just in there and then now no, I didn't say that. They were allowed to come in. That was my position. You ran with that because of the phrase took over. No, as bishops, overseers, they took over. That's what I mean. And you agreed. There was no source needed for that. And then as you kept saying that I said something else, I asked you to bet it and you couldn't because you knew it was on the replays and it will prove you as a liar. I said Titus was a Greek and I taught that he was a Greek, but what is his biblical nationality? You could not present that at all. But then you also taught right after that I said Titus was not a Greek. The audience cut you. The moderators cut you. We're going to break that down. You've just been lying the entire time, and we're just calling out lie after lie. Now, If you would like to engage with me back and forth about something that's inside of the Bible, we can talk about it. Like, I don't see why we left the Bible once we got in the Bible. You never responded to Jeremiah 9:26 because you knew you were in the major pickle of your life. You could not answer that. Matter of fact, I'll land with a question. Let me read that. I'll just land with a question. I'll make them deal with it or not. This is Jeremiah chapter 9:26. Egypt and Judah and Eman and the children of Ammon and Moab and all that are in the utmost corners that dwell in the wilderness, for all these nations are uncircumcised. Vocab. According to Jeremiah chapter 9:26, Egypt, Edom, Israel, meaning specifically Judah, and others are uncircumcised. Is that true? Yes or no?
Sure. What's the point of that question? Help us understand. Hello? Hello?
I don't know if you
My
dropped
bad,
his
my
mic.
bad. I'm back.
Did you drop your mic? Did you drop your
No,
mic?
no, it got
Oh,
it got
okay.
the I don't know if y'all phone be doing that, but it's like it gets sticky when you press it and then it don't unmute until 8 seconds later. So thank you for asking that. The reason why I presented the scripture is because there's multiple nationalities that's uncircumcised, including the Israelites. So going to Galatians 2 and 3, showing somebody being uncircumcised does not prove their literal biblical nationality. And in the context, it says Egypt, which goes back to Mizraim, being born in Genesis 10. We know that Israel, specifically Judah and Edom, or you could just say Israel, were born in Genesis 25. And I'm talking about chapter relation. They were born around that area. So you see, these are biblical nationalities at the very beginning of the book, regardless of what country that they went over to or yielded to or became citizens or whatever the case may be. Being that there was many nationalities, including the Israelites, that were uncircumcised, my teaching was Titus, you would have to give me his biblical nationality, because just saying uncircumcised is not good enough. So, and I'm gonna respond to what you felt like I wasn't responding to the entire time. When I said Koine Greek and compelled, I was talking about the fact that compel means restrain or force. That's what I actually said on the clip before you even challenged me on it. So I was saying the Koine Greek proves that the action was being forced. That's the action word in the sentence structure. He was not forced. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen. That's all I'm saying. He just wasn't forced. That's what the sentence structure means. But let's just say if I went with your position to say that he was not circumcised, even if I went with that side, you had uncircumcision of Israel as well. So that is not a position that you can prove his nationality. That was my point. And you never addressed it ever. And we're going to do a clean breakdown on it.
Of course, I addressed it. Could you please read Galatians 2:3?
I'm gonna stay
Cory.
off mute because they keep doing the long sticky thing. Yeah, I'll read it. This is Galatians chapter 2 and verse 3. But neither Titus, who was with me, being a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised.
All right. So what was Titus being according to that verse?
A Greek.
Okay. Does it say?
And what was his biblical nationality?
Does it say a Greek citizen?
No, it doesn't say citizen.
All right.
Right up. It doesn't say the word citizen right
All
now.
right.
No.
Does it say that he was circumcised?
No, it says he was not compelled to be circumcised, meaning forced.
So,
it doesn't give us the. Well, let me finish my sentence because you're asking me questions. I'm not your prop. It doesn't say whether he was circumcised or not. It says he was not forced. That was the root of the particular position. He was not forced, meaning he could have did it on his own volition.
So
that's the point. It doesn't say whether he was circumcised or not. But being a Greek does not give us the biblical nationality. I showed you a proof text of that, St. Mark 7:26, showing the person's biblical nationality, though they was a Greek citizen. So my question to you is, what is the
No,
biblical
hold on, I'm not
nationality?
done, Sourceless.
No, I don't. You asked multiple questions.
Yeah,
I'm allowed
very
to ask one
brief.
question
Please,
that you never asked.
very brief, very brief.
Oh, so this is the
Sure,
brief
very brief.
question. This is my brief question.
But I'm just
What
saying,
is the biblical
these
nationality
very
of
brief
Titus?
questions. Greek,
What is the
like the
biblical
Bible says.
nationality of Titus? If we know that
They're-
somebody can be a
they're-
Greek and have a biblical nationality at the same time.
Unfortunately for you, there's no such category distinction as a biblical nationality. There's just nationalities, Cory. The idea of you saying biblical nationality is that's old One West phraseology. That's who Bandy's dad about. So you even asking the question is silly. So notice how it says Titus was not circumcised, and you're claiming, well, maybe he circumcised himself. So if Titus circumcised himself, you think that Paul just left that out? Paul just left out the fact that Titus went and circumcised himself? So Paul's whole point is circumcision is not required because there's freedom from the law. If you've read the letter, you would know that's the theme. So in that context, how would it go with his theme of the letter to say, well, I didn't ask Titus to be circumcised, but he did circumcise himself? Why would Paul leave that out? You're literally having to insert ghost parentheses to try to prove your point. I saw someone in the live chat say, well, Vocab keeps on going to that same verse. That's because he has not properly answered it. He has not been able to answer it. It literally says Titus was not compelled to be circumcised. Cory says that doesn't mean he wasn't circumcised, even though that obviously means he wasn't circumcised. And then it says Titus being a Greek. And then Cory says that doesn't mean he's actually a Greek. So this is where we see ignorance, superstition, and tradition overriding what Scripture actually says. Scripture can be plain as day, which it is in this instance. And because of Cory's own religious tradition, he's going to just dump it on top of there and say, well, maybe he was a Greek citizen. Maybe he was raised in Greece. He grew up in Greece. Maybe he went and circumcised himself. You got all these maybes, all these supposals, all these hypotheses, but the Scripture itself is actually incredibly clear about what it really says. This is where you see that the Bible is meaningless to cultists. The Bible can be plain, incredibly stark, and it doesn't matter what it says to Cory because he'll just read right over top of it. And you never dealt with the parallel point of Timothy. Why was Timothy, if you want to use the phrase, compelled to be circumcised? Paul did it himself because it would be a stumbling block to have somebody who is part Jewish on their mother's side not be circumcised for the sake of the mission. That's why he was, and it's mentioned. Titus was not. And then it goes on to say, if you read the context of Galatians 2, it even proves the point further because it talks about false brethren sent to spy out our liberty. Well, what's he talking about there? Spy out our liberty about what? So your reading is completely acontextual. And I know it's embarrassing for you, but since you haven't moved at all, like you haven't advanced the conversation because you're just returning to the same talking points again and again and again, we have to go back to those until you advance the conversation. Which book of the 3 books is this claim about 135? You gave a specific date, but yet you gave us a 715-page book, no source, no page. Then you'd say later you probably sent the wrong book out of it. You had all that time and then you sent the wrong book. Which part of the 3-volume set of the 4th century writer makes the claim that in the 130s, these people were replaced in some way? I never brought up the idea of bloodshed and war and battles and fighting. You kept on saying that to make it seem as if I was misunderstanding your point. Your point, which you revised heavily in later editions, was obvious. And then when you finally brought a source, it was from 300 years later, and it was from someone who criticized what you're promoting because he's a Christian apologist, and he criticized Ebionism. Again, you never responded to that. Ebionism will be closer to what you hold to because you're a legalistic Judaizer who tries to push the law on people despite the fact that they have freedom in Christ. That's what this whole conversation is about. Well, he's criticizing it. So he's not doing what you said. You said, oh, look, he's showing how the Israelite state of mind got overtaken by Roman Gentiles. And you mentioned a date. You've never given the source that relates to the date. You dropped a page, a 715-page book without a link to any page. So I'm just reminding you of your own failures In a normal conversation, I wouldn't do that. If the person said, you know what, my bad, you were right about that, let's move on, I misspoke. But that's not what you've been doing. You've been bragging about how careful of a listener you are and how amazing of a debater you are and how you got this great reputation. And since you're doing that, you need to be humbled. So I'm simply reminding you of your utter failures in this conversation. It's not a good look. It's not an example of prowess. And I'm going to keep on putting it to you to make you prove your points that you claim. Who are these historians who hate Tacitus's guts? Because you tried to discount the source of Tacitus when my whole point by bringing up Tacitus was to show that the Romans despised the Christians and the Christians resisted their tyranny. That was the point, because it's not they're going to let them take over in any kind of way. It's resistance to the Roman Empire. What's this claim about historians hate his guts? What are you talking about? Who name us one historian who hated Tacitus? What are you talking about? It's just amateur hour nonstop. So I'm glad the conversation's almost over, because a lot of this time I just had to listen to you. Yeah. It wasn't a real dialogue. If we have a real cross-examination and a moderated debate where you're forced to answer, you're going to be completely exposed as the novice, rookie, amateur, noob, sourceless Cory that you are.
I'm glad.
Damn.
You see the walk down? Watch this, Garfield. I want you to stay off mute. Stay off mute. Stay off mute with me. Now, Vocab, I did not cut you off in your monologue, and I don't want you to say I did or you didn't monologue. Now, Garfield, he just said what he said. Did you hear that last part, Garfield? Unmute.
Yeah. I'm here.
Now, Garfield, he said, if he debate me, he's gonna prove that such and such and such and such and sourceless and all. Didn't he just say that, Garfield? Is that what you heard?
Yes, sir. You're paraphrasing. Yep.
All right,
yep.
Vocab, I will formally debate you on a fair, moderated platform as long as Garfield is paying attention in the moderation and making sure, we can add one or two or more people that we agree on. I would formally debate you, and we can put judges included with a very large sum of fucking money. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if you actually want to debate. Hey, Garfield, before he said he wanted to formally debate, before he said that, because I didn't introduce that, a lot of people was hitting me up and saying, hey, try to get him to formally debate. I didn't say that. Garfield, wasn't he the first one to say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I accept the challenge, and I would like to put a large wager up if he can meet it. Right? We actually get the judges. It could be on whatever major platform, and we can decide on a topic, and then we can read in the Bible how that topic is true or not true. Hey, Garfield, did you hear me just say that?
Yes, I did.
It can happen in 2025 within the next 30 days, or it can happen if his schedule and my schedule does not permit. I'm available this year. Did you hear me say that, Garfield?
Yep.
1-on-1, or if you would like to do 2-on-2, it don't matter. But I'm saying 1-on-1. Did you hear me say that?
If money is involved, I do want it to be like a five judge debate.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, the audience could be their own judges and whatever, but I do want it to be official. People that you guys both agree on.
Hey, Garfield, before he said that, see, it's so cool to argue against a 6-month zealot, and then when you so consistently arguing against 6-month zealots, what happens is when you get an individual who just studied a little bit more than 6 months, you don't know who you're debating. I never said I'm this big guy. What I said was, you don't know who I am. That's your issue. Hey, Garfield, right before he gave the formal debate challenge, then he say, what's your source for these historians hating Tacitus? What is your source for that? You got a source for that? I mean, just one. Did he say that, Garfield?
Yeah. He said that.
Yeah. He said that, right? All right, let me put this inside of the chat. This is crazy. We don't have to do this. We don't have to. Hold on, let me copy the link, and I'm gonna read it. It's bad. This is bad news for Christianity. This week for Christianity is terrible. Now, notice he told. I'm not even gonna address the other part. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Everybody read along with me. And Garfield, put it at the top. Put it at the top. Now, we just offered Faithful to God $20K to debate.
It could be Christian moderators. And one of them that I actually was going to decide on that somebody told me to possibly choose was Vocab if he was willing to do it. We just was trying to wager faithful to God for 20K. He ran in the corner. We told him to pop out just like Vocab. Shout out to Vocab. Vocab just popped out on a neutral platform and he's having a discussion with me. We tried to give 500 for faithful to God to just do it. We knew that he was going to do what Vocab is doing right now. Now watch this. I just put a source in the chat. This is Tertullian 144. He was around from 145 to 220. So 2nd century. This is a Tertullian Apology, chapter 16, right at the top. Everybody read along with me. For like some others, you are under the delusion that our God is an ass's head. Cornelius Tacitus first put this notion into people's minds in the 5th book of his histories, beginning the narrative of the Jewish war with an account of the origin of the nation, and theorizing at his pleasure about the origin, as well as the name and the religion of the Jews. He states that having been delivered, or rather in his opinion, is expelled from Egypt and crossing the vast plains of Arabia, where water is so scanty, they were in extremity from thirst. But taking the guidance of the wild asses, which was thought might be seeking water after feeding, they discovered a fountain, and thereupon in their gratitude, they consecrated a head of this species of animal. And as Christianity is nearly allied to Judaism from this, I suppose it was taken for granted that we too are devoted to the worship of the same image. But the said Cornelius Tacitus, the very opposite of tacit in telling lies, informs us in the work already mentioned that when Cneius Pompeius captured Jerusalem, he entered the temple to see the arcana of the Jewish religion, but found no image there. When you continue to read this, he continues to go off on Tacitus. This is 2nd century Tertullian Apology 16, right from the top, saying Cornelius Tacitus is very opposite of his name, full of lies. Tertullian did not respect Tacitus. Hey, Vocab, did Tertullian like Tacitus according to Apology 16? Yes or no?
Tertullian is a Christian apologist.
Yes or no?
Called out. That's not how it's going to work. Remember when I ask you a question, you don't do that, so you don't get to do that to me. Tertullian is a Christian apologist who coined the term Trinity, who called out Tacitus for those lies against Jewish religion. He's not a historian, and you're proving my point, because my point was Tacitus was one of the Romans who hated the Christians. So you're proving the point by asking the question. What are you doing? What are these sounds?
Let's get to the formal debate. You're cut.
No.
Hold on, Cory, hold on.
I told you.
Hold on, Cory, hold this.
Y'all see how quick?
I'm kind of confused, right? So Tacitus, you know what? Let me not even jump in the middle of this, but let Vocab respond, bro. Come on, bro. Let him respond, man.
I said I was going to do it because he did it multiple times, right?
Who's playing sound effects when I'm answering the question?
Me.
That's Cory.
Because you're not answering the question.
Garfield, is this standard procedure that when someone
is you cutting me off standard procedure?
Is this something that we
come on, Cory? Let the conversation.
I told you, Garfield, I was going to do it. So don't act like I ain't tell you I was going to do it. But Vocab did not tell you he was going to do it. So he disrespected your platform. I did not, and I would love to have a discussion.
You're asking for a debate while you're literally playing sound effects while I'm answering you.
Well, you were being immature, and you requested the debate.
Let me finish what
you
I'm
requested
saying.
a debate and being immature.
Cory, please let me finish.
Listen. Hold on, Vocab. Hold on, Vocab.
Talk on this show.
Vocab, hold on 1 second, bro. Hold on.
Just let me speak.
Cory, hold on. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna do this for 10 more minutes, and then I'm gonna close.
You already said that. No. Cool. We are done. Let me finish. You already said 2 minutes. Hold your word. We're done
Go ahead.
I respond to what he just said. Yes, I'll debate you, but not on this platform, not on Clubhouse, and definitely not with anyone related to Garfield as the moderator. He's getting punked on his own show. I'll debate you on Sonetta, a much larger platform, and you got to show your face, and the topic will be, did the Roman Empire take over Christianity to Nicaea? And I will absolutely debate you on that, and we'll do it in a public way. Or if you want to really go there, we'll debate in person. I have some ability to be able to set up a face-to-face debate, and you would be a perfect person to do a face-to-face debate. Now, in real debates, you don't have judges and then decide with some pot of money. That's not what we're going to do. But I will debate you. I will absolutely debate you. But it needs to be extensive cross-examination. That's the main thing that needs to happen, because you become an expert at monologuing, filibustering. But if you have to answer my direct questions, and that was my whole point, you will not be able to withstand the scrutiny, because you're totally an amateur, Cory. I think you know that. That's why you're doing all this other stuff, and it's a shame. It's a shame that when I try to answer, you're literally playing sound effects. You've done it a number of times, and it's like, how are we gonna have a conversation? The second you answer a question, start playing sound effects. So will you take the debate on Sana's platform about Christianity getting taken over by the Romans?
Oh gosh, this is crazy.
Yes or no?
I want to say it clean. Can you mute up so I can say it?
No. Answer the question.
So you're not gonna let me answer it?
Answer the question.
I'm about to answer it, but are you gonna cut me off in the middle of my answer?
Please just answer the question.
Are you gonna cut me off in the middle of it?
Yes or no?
You see that? He ain't saying that. Hey, Garfield, is he gonna cut me off in the middle?
Let's do our debate negotiations right now.
This is crazy. What are you talking?
No?
You just asked me a question. Mute up.
Answer.
So how can I do debate negotiations if you don't mute up?
Because if it's a negotiation, that means we go back and forth about the topic.
So allow me to speak to you for 2 minutes. That's all I ask.
But it doesn't take that long to answer the question.
1 minute then. That's all I ask.
Go ahead, Sourceless.
Oh boy.
You see this? He don't want to debate me.
I literally just said, will you debate me?
I already know he's finna cut me off. I'm not.
Will you debate me, Sourceless Cory? I'm talking to you, Sourceless.
Yes, I'll debate you.
On Sana's platform.
Now, wait. Let me answer the question. What are you doing? You're being childish.
Yes or
You've
no?
been childish all day. You've been childish all day.
Sourceless Cory, will you
We've been
debate
childish
me
all day. Mute up. Garfield, are you gonna allow him? Are you gonna jump on mute real quick, like you did me? Once y'all see this bias, me and Garfield finna have a conversation.
I'm about to end the show right now.
No, you're gonna wait till I answer his question in full, but mute him up.
All right, go ahead.
But tell him to mute.
Mute up, Vocab. Let him finish.
Thank you.
So we can end the show.
Look out.
All right, Sourceless.
Look, mute. What's this? Mute. Thank you. Everybody just heard me. I just accepted your challenge for a formal debate. I just accepted it. I said we can choose moderation. I accepted it. That's what I said. I also will gladly accept a physical formal debate. What are you talking about? What? I just tried to put one together with a lot. I had a 10,000 square foot building with Harvard professors flying into Atlanta. What are you talking about? Of course I would. Vocab? You don't know who you're talking to. Ask around. That's all I'm saying. Ask around first and then offer. Now, Vocab.
All right, what platform?
Wait, man.
What platform
Wait. What is wrong with this dude? Wait. Mute up. Mute up. Mute up. Man, mute up. I didn't speak over you. Mute up. You don't know who you're talking to. Mute up. Mute up. You think you're saying little stuff that scares people. Hey, Vocab, you can get my phone number from Garfield right now, and we can go over every single detail. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia right now. How fast can you get here? What are you talking about? This dude said, I'm gonna come in your presence. Like that's gonna change anything. You better not wear that cap when you come.
All right.
This guy's weird. Now let me finish.
February, I got a date.
I've already accepted.
I got a date. February 17th in Brooklyn.
I'm not going to no damn Brooklyn. What are you talking? I hate New York.
February 17th in Brooklyn. I already got a moderator.
I got a whole song against Brooklyn. Come to Atlanta, Georgia.
Congratulations.
I got a come to Atlanta, Georgia.
I love it. I love it. Come to where I am.
Didn't you go to Cap? Didn't you go to Cap in San Diego?
We'll go to neutral territory.
Then you go to Cap in San Diego. Then you go to them brothers in London. Then you run down on GMS camps. You ran down on everybody, but you won't run down on me. Why not?
February 17th.
I thought so.
I got a date.
How you just gonna call out a date and a time if nobody can make it? What are you talking about?
Why do I have to come to where you are at in Atlanta? That's the question.
You come to where everyone is.
We both go.
Why am I different?
Place. Because I already got a moderator in Brooklyn. That's why.
Man, this is crazy. Why am I different?
Because I already have.
Why do I have to yield to your moderator that I don't know?
February.
No, Garfield is the moderator. It started with Garfield.
Garfield is not
going to be
moderator.
on. No, it started with Garfield. No, Garfield has its own platform. You came here through Garfield.
On a moderator, and Garfield is not the moderator.
Okay, I do not agree on your moderator. I don't know them.
He's a horrible moderator.
I don't know your moderator, so I don't know them.
Then we can make it in Harlem instead, and Sonetta
can moderate. Let Rodney do it then. Let Rodney do it then.
I don't. Why is it? It's funny. Why is it going to be one of your buddies? Sonetta's not my buddy.
It's somebody that we both know.
You know
that's
who
what I'm telling you. You wait. It's somebody. I believe Garfield texts me.
February
he wants to do
17th,
it. Garfield texts me. He wants to do it on Rodney's platform. Now we on Rodney's platform.
I'm not gonna do one of these rooms
Man,
again.
This is crazy.
Will you come to New York?
I'm not.
February 17th.
Brother. Did you hear me?
Okay.
You don't want to debate me. You don't want to debate me.
Why am I telling you a physical time and place?
Because you're trying to give me a large stretch. So if he doesn't come to this, if he doesn't debate this, he don't want to debate me.
It's farther from me coming from Phoenix. It's farther from me.
Oh my gosh.
So
hey Garfield, let me ask you a question right there. I'm gonna plead the moderation. Let me ask you a question.
In Brooklyn, I've got South Showtime, and I just called him the other day.
Garfield, can I ask you a question?
To do this
on the live right now while Vocab is here?
And notice South Showtime is a Hebrew.
Hey Garfield, did Vocab Malone debate Captain Tazariak? Yes or no?
If you don't like, it was Tazama.
What was the topic?
It was Tazama, first of all. It was Tazama, not Tazariak.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. See, you got dose, digital on stage embarrassment. You don't know what I'm talking about. Hey, Brother Garfield. Brother Garfield. Did Vocab Malone debate Captain Tazariak?
Oh my gosh.
You got Berean, you got Style Showtime. And who's the third one, Vocab?
No, answer my question, Garfield. I told you to come off mute.
What
are you talking about?
I'm sorry, one in Queens, one in Harlem, one in Brooklyn.
I don't know these folks.
How do you not know who Sonetta is? How do you not know who Brother Berean is?
I don't know who they are personally. I don't know who they are personally.
And the reason why I know it's good is because I called them yesterday.
Garfield does formal debates. Why are we not doing it with him?
I have a plan already. It's not come to Atlanta.
Hey Garfield, let me ask you a question.
Oh my gosh,
did Vocab Malone debate Captain Tazariak
on your platform? In a room.
He's scared, bro.
He's
scared.
Then why am I telling you New York City?
So mute up because you're scared. I can prove it.
I tell you what.
I can prove you finna run.
Who is listening on this show?
This is crazy.
Who will debate me instead of this spineless coward?
This is crazy.
Wow.
Hey Garfield, can I talk to you?
Because I'll be there.
What's wrong with this dude? He's
we got three options. And I called him yesterday and said, if I get someone to debate, will you do an in-person debate with me February 17th
in
one of the three boroughs I mentioned? Well, Harlem's not technically a borough, but it's
scared.
I gave you a physical place and time, and I gave you three people.
All right. Hey, Garfield, you gave me the time that you're available. I'm not available at that time.
How do you know? What are you doing February 17th?
I just looked at February 17th. I'm not available. I literally have a family, sir. What are you talking about? You already made yourself available. It's like, look, wait, just mute up for a second because you're not decent.
February 14th.
Hey, Garfield, can you mute him up because I'm trying to talk to you?
February 14th in Newark.
What is wrong with this dude? Can you mute him up?
I'll be in Newark February 14th.
Can you mute him up?
All right, hold on. Everybody, time out.
Are you busy February 14th?
He's got to take.
Hold on, Vocab.
Can you get him to answer? Sourceless Cory.
He's not available then.
No,
but hold on, everybody.
A different day. Sourceless Cory, are you available February 14th in Newark, New Jersey?
No, let me tell you, I'm available.
Oh, you know you're not available that day either.
Good night. He ain't even letting me answer the question. He that scared. He's never set up a debate like this. He's scared of me. Y'all know it. I just cut
I'm
his
giving this
fucking
dude a
head off
physical
with
place and
Tertullian.
time, and he says I'm
I
scared.
cut his head off with Tertullian. I'm available.
I cut your reputation
Watch
off,
this.
bro.
I'm available February 16th in Atlanta, Georgia. You coming?
I'll be in New York, moron.
Pussy.
I just told you where
now,
I'll be.
pussy. Hey,
I'll
Garfield.
be in Brooklyn on the 16th.
Now let me ask you a question.
Hold on,
When
Garfield,
he debated
I need you to
Captain
answer this for
Cesario,
me.
what was
Did
the
I not
topic?
tell you, hey, Garfield, did I not tell you
This
I'd be
is
in
childish.
Brooklyn and Newark, New Jersey?
I'm
those
not even
dates?
cutting him off.
Did I not tell you that,
All right,
Garfield?
hold on.
another
Both
week in Atlanta.
of y'all talking at the same time. This is the people can't even hear what y'all saying.
Garfield, so let me
Did I tell
talk.
you I'd
This
be
is
in
my
New York
time.
those
Yeah,
dates?
yes.
Okay, so I'll physically be there.
I'm
so I
not
can't-
in New York, and I'm not going.
Okay, well, who's
Come
the
to
coward then?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Not only are you I already told you I'm in Brooklyn and Newark on
This
those
is
dates.
crazy.
I can't be in two places at
He's
once.
scared. Okay, so debate me virtually.
See, there's the coward. Come to
This
New
dude
York
is
and shut
scared.
up.
Hey,
Come to New
Garfield, you
York and
see it
shut
clean,
up,
right?
man.
You see it clean, right? He said,
Pick a
if you
Pick a
can't
date in
come to
March.
a
Pick a date in
location
March.
that's
Pick a
across
date
the
in
world,
March. Why don't y'all pick a date in March? Pick a date in March.
No, I'm gonna be. That's when I'm gonna
in
be
Atlanta,
New York.
Georgia.
You said within 30 days. That's within 30 days.
In
You come to New York
I
City.
said
We have
the
3
entire
moderator
2025.
options. If you won't do it, I want someone in the live chat who lives in New York.
Oh man,
to
this
do one of
dude's.
those options
I just
instead.
wanted to make sure that's crystal clean. Another one,
Spineless, sourceless,
another
coward.
one running from me. I said
I'm running to
20K
you.
on the line. Come to Atlanta,
If you got
Georgia. It could be in the
20K,
physical
Hey, if
or
you got
online.
20K, Sourceless Cory, then you
Would
can
you like to
afford
do
a
it?
flight. Sourceless Cory, if you got 20K, you can afford a flight up to JFK.
I said I can't go there. That's what I said.
What are you doing
I
on
have
the
a
14th?
family. What are you talking about?
Oh, so you just can't go any day.
But you
Okay.
can come to Atlanta, Georgia.
I'll be in the boroughs on those dates. That's why
Man, he don't want to debate. All right, bro. Let's just. All right,
Hey,
it's
Cory,
over.
if I
He just
All right,
want
you
to
know
argue
what?
with
Why
me.
don't we just
with Tertullian? He don't want to argue with me.
Why don't we?
I'm bringing
Now,
in
Garfield,
boroughs to meet
Garfield,
up in.
can you mute him up? He's just talking over everybody. Can you mute him up? We can't even progress.
Pulled your card, you sourceless coward.
Garfield, what are you doing?
Just pulled your card, you sourceless
This is
coward.
crazy.
Both of y'all crazy,
This is
man.
crazy.
But listen.
I'm
Vocab,
glad it's clean on the
Vocab?
table.
White boy just pulled your card, you sourceless coward.
Just mute him up.
Oh man.
Just mute him
Vocab,
up.
hold on, Vocab. Hold on one second.
He's scared of me.
No, I'll do those dates.
Let's debate 30 days virtually right now.
I'm not doing virtually, you sourceless, spineless
Why not?
coward. It's got to be
Why
in
not?
person.
You've done
Because
many
I'm
virtually.
going
Why
to
you scared
New
of me?
York, so I'll already be there.
So why are you trying to get me somewhere where I can't go?
You, why do I want to meet in person, man?
So come to Atlanta, Georgia.
Come to New York City.
I can't go to New York City. Come to Atlanta, Georgia.
If you got 20K, you can
Why
make
can't you come to Atlanta, Georgia?
If you got 20K,
don't you travel the world to run down on Israelites? Why can't you come to Atlanta, Georgia?
If you have 20K sitting around,
are you afraid of me?
And come to New York City.
Are you afraid of me?
No,
I don't think. Hold on, everybody, time out. Serious now. Let's serious
time out if I wanted to.
Serious time. Hold on, Cory. Now watch this. I don't think either of y'all are scared. That's all gibberish right now. What I'm saying to you is, can we do this? Hold on, can we do this? Let's end this stream here, and I'll hook up both of y'all phone numbers, and y'all.
Do not give. No. I do not want to have my phone number.
No.
Do not give him my phone number, bro.
No, we good. We good.
We can call on three-way. I do not want Cory.
He does not want to debate me because he knows better.
I'll debate you. I gave you dates of plays. Newark,
He knows who to
debate. One of the
debate.
boroughs, and I gave you 3 moderator options.
He came to Atlanta for Divine Prospect. He went to London for some Israelites. He went to San Diego for Cap. He pulls up on everybody everywhere. But Christian Cory says, pull up on me. I don't want to. You know better. That's why. It's simple. You go everywhere.
Says the man
but
who
you
won't
better
travel.
not come to it. I'm going to be checking Delta. You better not book nothing on Delta. If you ever come to Atlanta, I don't care if your flight stops you in Atlanta. When it stops you in Atlanta, I'm going to be at the airport.
Sourceless.
With a lip.
Yo,
I'm
Cory
be at
is funny, yo.
Sourceless.
You scared of me. You with your Garfield hat on.
Peace and love to y'all, man. Peace and love to Cory.
Hold on, Garfield.
Peace and love to Cory. Let me move it to the audience. Both of them to the audience. I'm sick of both of them. Hey, Rodney, you there, man? Listen, man. I said it was a good discussion. You know, some people gonna say Vocab won, some gonna say Cory won. That's what it is. People gonna pick sides. Coffee, you're biased. I'm not the greatest moderator. I ain't no damn moderator, man. Y'all know that already. I just want to make shit happen. That's what it is. Let me bring y'all back up so y'all can say y'all final pieces, man, and call it a day. Y'all crazy. Y'all crazy right now. Let me bring Vocab back up. Cory, I don't know where you at. Raise your hand, Cory. Hold on a second. Oh, I can't do that. Invite to speak. Go ahead, Vocab. You up? Where Cory at? Cory, raise your hand. I can't find Cory. Did he leave the room? All right. See y'all later, man. Peace and love. Thanks for coming out, family. Thanks for supporting the room. If you're not a member, you're a member now. Do your thing. I know Cory's gonna have a follow-up room. Thank you, Vocab Malone, for showing up and being a man and handling your business. Cory, thanks for showing up and doing your thing. All right, we out. Peace and love.